What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for a very special live edition of Fantasy MLB today. I am your host, Joe Orrico, and you guys can check me out over on Twitter at Joe Orrico99. And you can check out everything we have here on the baseball side at Sports Ethos over at Ethos Fantasy BB, ETHOS Fantasy BB. That's where you get our podcasts, articles, news, and notes. Every bit of baseball content was or is shared out over there. So make sure you guys are checking it out. Also, sportsethos.com. That is where you get everything right from the source. We are doing a live Gladiator draft here on the NFBC. If you guys are unfamiliar with the format, you draft your starting lineup, 23 players, and that's it. That's the beauty of it. If you're not somebody who likes to make moves in season, you don't have to. You have to do absolutely nothing. In fact, you're not able to make any moves. The draft is literally it. And to join me here as the co-host is Mr. Scott Bogman. He's not drafting a team, but he's obviously a good friend of us, good friend of the show, and going back for several years here with Dan and Aaron. If you guys are familiar with Sports Ethos, long connection, good friend, and he switched things around to be here. Really appreciate it. Bogman, how you doing, man?
I love it. No pressure on me at all. All I get to do is stand here and judge everyone's picks. I love it. This is going to be a lot of fun for me. A lot of pressure for you. A lot of fun for me. I enjoy it.
It'll be pressure for sure. It will not start right away because I have the first overall pick, and it'll obviously be Mr. Ronald Acuna. I'm going to make no crazy.
You're not going to let me talk you into Corbin Carroll?
I don't think I'm going to let you do that to me. I don't think you're going to be able to. This is the first time I've got the number one pick this year, and it's probably, knowing me, the only time I am going to be able to get me some Acuna. So I'm definitely going to be taking him here at number one. Thank you to everybody watching in live. If you are on the live side and you're just zooming in and out, it'll be out as a podcast tomorrow as well. Check us out over on Twitter at Bogman Sports, of course. He is somebody that is part of in this league, does a ton of stuff within the fantasy industry. And now we're switching over to baseball. Football is done. We are going to be looking at full-time baseball. Bogman, isn't that right? Or are we still doing some football in the offseason?
I obviously do NFL draft stuff. So I
Yeah.
do that for the War Room, in this War Room over at In This League. That's the podcast there with my buddy CK. And, playoff stuff, betting pros as well. But I mean, it's baseball season. Football regular season is over. Fantasy is over. It's baseball season. We're ready to rock and roll here.
Absolutely. Good to just about start this one off. 1 minute to go. It's going to be Acuna, and then we're going to be, that's the kind of why I wanted to get somebody, especially somebody funny like Bogman here, to kind of keep me going, because it's a long time between picks. So we are going to just kind of be commenting on what we are seeing here. Going to be going quite a while, so I'm going to be double tapping something when we get back to the 2-3. I'm not quite sure yet, and I guess I shouldn't be just openly talking about my strategy in case anybody decides to pop in here, but I don't think anybody's looking at me as some, savant that's going to be, telling any massive, giving away any massive secrets this year. So who knows? I'll just probably be spouting out shit throughout the podcast. It's going to be kind of open forum here, so no real concerns there. Bogman, how you been doing though? Have you been doing good?
Yeah, doing great. I'm in an NFBC slow draft with the Welsh right now. It's a 150. So I think we're actually halfway through it, and it's been like, a week and a half or whatever. So been enjoying that. And someone did think it was a little fishy that Welsh and I were in the same draft. And I was like, we can't trade. And, we also are awake different hours for the most part. So we haven't really been talking about it, but yeah, the NFBC drafts are always fun. And here we go. Look at that. So fast. 5 seconds in. That's right. Put the heat on them.
Let's get it out of the way. So yeah, you guys being in the same draft. I mean, that's the thing with the NFBC. You can't make any trades. There's no way to collude there, right?
I was like, is my draft so bad that people think I'm taking just terrible picks? Whoa! There goes Mookie Betts, number 2.
Mookie at 2. I can get behind it, just based on what we saw from him last year, and you add Shohei to that, I could definitely get behind it.
He's amazing. He is, but I'm not leaving, potential 40-40 with Witt, Julio, or Corbin on the table. That's all.
Yeah, no, I understand it. The lack of steals is kind of the only thing there. I wish he was able to give you like 20 plus, but I think he was the number 3 player last year or something.
He's so good. It's not a bad pick. It's just,
I get what you're saying.
I'd rather have him at 5 and get him at where he should go than take him at 2 over some huge talents. That's all.
Yeah, the DC I'm currently drafting that started today, Curlin took him at 5. That's where I think that a lot of time he's going to be going. He's going to be going after Witt. He's going to be going after Rodriguez, probably after Carroll a lot of the time. I don't have a huge problem with it, though. I don't really have a huge problem with any order of those guys, Bobby Witt, Julio, Corbin Carroll. Do you have a massive preference of how you take those guys?
I really don't. No, I think I prefer an outfielder. So I think I'm going to go Acuna. I'm going to go Acuna, then Julio, Carroll, Witt, and then Betts. That's how I'm going to have my top 5.
Yeah, I think
especially in a league where you have to have 5 outfielders. It is a normal, like 2 catchers, 5 outfielders, 9 pitchers, all that stuff. This Gladiator, is that right?
Yeah, it's just the standard NFBC roster.
No bench.
No bench, no nothing. Yeah, just a standard roster.
Yeah.
ROE
here might not know today is draft day.
Didn't realize today was draft day potentially. Well, you're getting Corbin Carroll. It's not like you're doing anything. Not like it's too bad.
Pretty awesome auto pick there. Yeah.
Yeah. Strider going at 6. I've seen him getting pushed up in my DC today. He went at 6 as well. He's starting to move up into the middle part of the first round. I don't know if that's going to continue when people are doing like Yahoo leagues and ESPN leagues, but NFBC drafters are already starting to get that pitcher push that we usually see come a little bit later on in draft season.
Yeah, we did a mock today, and Strider went, I believe, at 8. So creeping into the first round for sure. There goes Tuck, your boy.
I like Tucker. I took him today. I took him today at 8. I have no problem with really anything that we're seeing here so far. It's pretty standard. The first round is so flush with talent. That's what I was kind of realizing as I got to the end of round 1 today in my own draft. It's just you're still seeing like Jose Ramirez and Matt Olson and Bryce Harper on the board in round 2.
I want to pick at the end of the draft. Like when I'm doing KDS, I'm usually picking, 13, 14, 15 as my top picks because I want 2 of those super talented guys at the back end. And I also like being on the end,
Yeah.
You can double up. The only thing I don't like about being on the end is obviously not being able to follow the run, right? Like, closers, because if you're at 15 and team 1 double taps closers, you're like, oh God, here we go. This is going to be forever till it's back to me.
Yeah, you're probably getting nothing at that point. Starting pitchers will be the same thing. I've seen it with catchers a lot this year in like the 150 kind of range. There's a ton of catchers going, and if you miss out there, then you're kind of stuck with somebody that you probably don't want. Soto at 10. Soto at 10 is you think that's a little early? I think that's maybe a little.
I don't think it's early since he signed with the or got traded to the Yankees. You've been seeing him float up boards. He went in our draft today. It's somewhere in that neighborhood as well. I'll just double check that. Let's see. Soto went at 8, and Strider went at 10. This was a 12-man. This was head-to-head, so it is a different format, and pitchers go a little higher in there. But I am curious to see where the next starter goes. I love that Judge pick.
Judge is good at 12, I think. Yeah, the next starter will almost definitely be Cole, but I wonder if it'll be in the first round here or if he'll make it back to the second round. This format's a little bit different. You got to almost aim for those guys that are going to play a little bit more, even if you maybe you're not as certain about what they're going to do on a per game basis. Just like the volume is so important because you don't have the ability to replace players. Guys get cold, guys, whatever. But if you're getting like a Marcus Semien type who's going to play 162 games, like I feel like he's somebody who is so much more valuable in this kind of format.
Marcus Semien drives me crazy because he's 81 Hall of Fame games and 81 single A games. It's just unbelievable from him every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And there he goes. Cole. There's Cole making it in the first round. He's usually
couldn't have picked a worse picture for Garrett Cole there. I mean, he looked like he's getting a mugshot. There's Jose
Ramirez going in the first. Yeah, I think that's where he should be going. I see him going in the second round, and Shohei finishes off round 1. I think this has been. Is
that too late for Ohtani? Even though he only qualifies at util, do you still think that might be too late?
No, I think as an NFBC, like I had him on a couple of NFBC teams last year, and you're starting him as a position player like pretty much every single week anyway. It's weekly format. You're not having the ability to start him in both spots. And he's not somebody who last year or in his career really had made a lot of 2-start weeks. So he was somebody where you're pretty much always starting him as a position player anyway.
Yeah.
I don't see, and you're worried about the injury, about what he's going to look like coming back from whatever this surgery is, this mystery surgery is that he had. But I still think, he's going to be probably pretty healthy if he starts the year. I don't think they're going to take any chances with him necessarily if we see, and now is a little bit of a risky time, I think, because we could potentially hear like, oh, there's been a setback with Ohtani. He started swinging the bat. It didn't feel as well as we thought it was going to feel, whatever. There's a chance of that. But if we hear in spring training when most people are drafting that Ohtani is looking good and, he's going to start the year healthy, then I don't see any reason to think that he can't do exactly what he always does offensively. I think he's going to be pretty much the same version we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, he's so valuable, even just as a hitter. I think maybe we're looking too much into the util thing, but also I understand the injury, so it's not one factor. But I always think maybe he should be going closer where Tatis and Soto are than at the end. But there are extenuating circumstances with him for sure.
Yeah, the util thing doesn't really bother me so much. I understand it from a roster construction point of view that it kind of sucks, but when you're getting like a top 5 potential number 1 overall player,
yeah,
he's kind of the only guy where I would make the exception. Like there are certain guys, like I was talking with Chris Clegg the other day about Marcell Ozuna and how the fact that like him being a util only guy is going to knock him down a bit. With that kind of player, JD Martinez, like that will knock those types down your rankings. But when it's Ohtani, for me personally,
uber talent, it doesn't matter where he is in your lineup. You just want him in the lineup.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably looking at 40 homers, 20 steals, close to a 300 average. And the counting stats, I can't even imagine what the counting stats are going to look like for Freeman, for Betts, for Ohtani. It's going to be stupid. It's going to be absolutely stupid what those guys put out. 120 runs, 120 RBIs a piece. That's on the table. Like I have no idea what the upper limit is.
Just to get swept in the playoffs by the D-backs. So
yeah, I'm hoping
pay those billions of dollars, Dodgers.
I'm salty still as a Jays fan a little bit about the way the whole Ohtani thing went down. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I wouldn't feel bad about the Dodgers going out in the first round. No problem here if that happens.
Did that distract you from the terribleness of the Dalton Varsho trade, at least?
Yeah, I don't love that trade. I don't love it. And then we bring back Kiermaier, who's going to play center, and Kiermaier is really good, but that takes away from the value that Varsho has. Varsho as a center fielder, is like that's where his peak value is. And if he's able to get back what he did offensively, then I'll be fine.
You know what? I do think he's going to have a better year for sure. Sucks that he only qualifies in the outfield now, but there we go. Yeah. Is that okay, so Tatis Seager, because we had a Freeman Seager stack in our mock today too. So I was thinking maybe that was close, but yeah, I mean, there's no bad teams, the first 2 rounds. This is all super talent. I think my favorite, probably that Jose Ramirez Jordan stack.
Yeah,
that's a good squad. Although I have seen just recently, I feel like third base is kind of falling. Welsh and I did a NFBC ADP changers list from, I did 2 sets. I did the last 25 drafts versus, October to early December or late December, I mean. And then I did just October, November versus December, January. And third base is kind of dipping down. Lots of value there. Wheeler's a good pick. That's to me, that's the top 4 starters. That's a tier to me, and they have all gone.
See, for me, I put, and maybe this is a little bit of a biased take, but I think I put Gausman in there, and I think honestly, maybe even Castillo. I think they're both like very close. And Burns worries me. Burns worries me a little bit. There goes Ellie. Ellie goes real early. That's a risky pick for me. Ellie's a little bit risky. I love Maddie, but that's a risky pick.
So you said maybe so is your idea to play a little more conservative in this because you can't make pickups and all that stuff?
Well, the idea that Ellie, like there's been talk, and I don't know how true it could be, but if he doesn't perform the way they hope he will, then there's potentially like he might get sent down. Like that is the floor potential. I know it's an extreme scenario. I don't really expect it to happen, but in this kind of format where if that extreme did happen, I wouldn't be able to replace him.
Right.
I don't know that I could justify taking him over some of the guys who are still on the board here. Lindor on the board, Devers, Gunnar Henderson is maybe a little bit overpriced too, but like Vladdy has a very high floor. There's no chance of Vladdy's going down to the minors. He might not have necessarily the same kind of upside, but in this kind of format, yeah, I think I would generally play it a little bit more conservatively.
I think I might be first or last, especially when you're doing a draft in January. You know what I mean? When all the free agents haven't signed yet, we're still not even 100% sure of closers for teams or fourth, fifth starters. There goes your boy Gossman. Is there someone you want here that we can make fun of you when they go one pick in front of you?
I'm kind of looking at Lindor. I think Lindor is another one of those guys who's going to play a lot. He's very safe across pretty much every category. The batting average is not really the greatest, but I think
goes my guy. I took him in the third today.
Okay, so we're back to me here.
I feel like you almost have to take a starter, right? You do, Pablo?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I'm going.
All right, Captain America. What you got?
Frankie.
Cisco. There he goes.
And I'm.
Who will Joe pick?
I think I
go away debating.
Going to go. There's a couple ways I could go here, but
what are you debating between?
I'm kind of going like between Pete and Vladdy. I'm kind of thinking first base, but I also do I really need to take care of first base? Like first baseman, you can get.
I don't like first base late, so I like taking care of it here. If you're not going starter, I think it's a good way to go.
I don't mind it.
Got 14 seconds.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go with Pete Alonso.
Big Meat Pete. There he goes. No Homer bias from Joe.
You know what? I'm changing it.
Not Homer. Homer. He's going Homer. Vladdy. There he goes.
I went Vladdy. I changed it last second. Just thinking about the batting average. I think that they're going to be fairly close overall, but I think Vladdy's going to hit for a higher average. He's not going to maybe hit as many homers, but that is part of me thinking that there is going to be a bounce back here. And I have put myself in a spot now where it's a long ass time until I'm going to be picking again. And to your point, like I maybe should have taken a starter. We're talking 26 picks away. I'm going to probably need to be taking a starter.
Who would be next on your list after those top four win and then Gossman and Castillo right ahead of you? Because you were saying, I think Gossman might be in that tier and Castillo. But so I respect you. If that is your tier, I respect you sticking to it and not reaching into the lower tier, even though you're on the end and not going there.
That's the thing. Like, who do I think is going to be available versus who I would want? Like, if Kirby's still there, I'm taking him, but Kirby's not going to be there. I'd probably take Glass now, but again, these guys are probably not going to be there. We're talking
right.
My next pick is
27 spots or whatever.
It's what number overall? It's 60 overall.
Yeah.
So just looking in that ADP range of pitchers, I could go for maybe a Tariq Skubal, maybe a Freddie Peralta. I could maybe jump up a touch on Blake Snell, Yamamoto potentially. Very interesting. Logan Webb, also pretty interesting.
What I've noticed so far in a couple of NFBC drafts is that round 4 is the starting pitcher spot. Like maybe it'll be even earlier since Strider went a little earlier than he has been. Cole went at the back of the end of the first round. We saw 4 go in the last round. A lot of guys still don't have starters, so maybe we start seeing some double up. But I think we see a lot of these guys take at least one. There's our first reliever, Devin Williams.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to have to go one starter, one reliever. I think that's probably what's going to make the most sense. Glass now in the third. That's Matty though. Matty's shooting for that overall. I can see it.
Okay.
He's going for Ellie and he's going for Glass now. If those guys,
if you ain't first, you're last. Come on, Ricky Bobby.
If those guys pan out, then I mean the upside of Ellie De La Cruz is a first round player. The upside of Tyler Glass now is like a top 5 starter. If I don't expect it to happen. But if Glass now is able to pitch 170 innings and just miraculously keeps, together all year, he's no worse than a top 5 starter probably. So that's Matty shooting for upside. I'm sure he's done a ton of these gladiators and tried out a bunch of different builds. Couple of interesting teams here, though. There's a couple of really interesting teams, and I can't be called the Toronto homer, I don't think, when there's a Gausman-Bichette pairing. Just going to point that out.
I think you still can because you were going to go Pete and you switched to Vlad, but, I like Queso, and I agree with you here, Queso, in the comments. I would love a different color on RPs versus starting pitchers in NFBC.
Yeah,
I would like that. Like you can keep the pitcher spots, but let's just
make a different designation and make it
Yeah.
so that when you're sorting through ADP or rankings,
That's it.
so that you can see how many starting, because it's you have to do it manually if you're trying to figure out way down the board what number Pete Fairbanks is in terms of relief pitchers. Then you're counting by hand. Pablo Lopez goes in the 3rd round. Wow, pitchers are moving up, man. I think Pablo's been going like 40s, like ish, 40 something, and I didn't think Pablo was going ahead of Kirby generally.
I've got Pablo at 5.
I got Pablo at like 4. Yeah, Pablo is crazy. The strikeouts, the strikeout minus walk, the supporting metrics, like everything. There's nothing not to like with him.
And everybody's catching up. So when I just said that the 4th round is the starting pitcher round, what I actually meant when I said that was the 3rd round is the pitcher round, because we just had what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go in
6
this
pitchers.
round.
6 pitchers go, in a span of 7 picks. And that's usually, from what I've been seeing, that's kind of been more the 4th round. So I think these guys are generally getting kind of pushed up
a little bit. Josh Hader. I think Fratello's probably going to do the same thing you did, or what you were talking about, closer and a starter, right?
Closer and a starter, probably, yeah.
I needed an old priest and a young priest. Nope, a Rosarena.
He goes Randy, a Rosarena. Just trying to see if I can start plotting out 13 picks away. I can kind of start making a bit of a roadmap. It'll probably go to shit, which is what usually happens.
There's Nola. Adolis. There you go.
Nola, Adolis Garcia.
I just keep rooting for not pitchers to go for you. So
yeah, let's hope every pick off the board is not a pitcher. And I think even if it is a bunch of pitchers, I'll still probably be okay. I have a couple players in mind that I'd be pretty comfortable with. And I'm also debating just saying F it and not taking pitchers again and just going for a couple more hitters, which is probably not wise. And I think I probably won't do it, but I'm just debating in my mind, if certain players just keep getting passed up, will I take the chance on not taking a pitcher again? But at least one of my next picks is going to be a pitcher, 100%.
I'm tweeting about this.
Tell people to make fun of my Blue Jays bias.
Yamamoto. What I said was come watch me critique Joe's draft. So
oh man, they're going to be critiquing it for sure if this is going to start what I hope it won't, which is Yamamoto followed by a ton of guys. Like I can get by if a few pitchers get taken.
The next 5 guys all have at least one starter. So that's nice.
Yeah, this is true.
And then 2 other guys. So what you're hoping for here is these guys all skip pitchers, and then only 2 more go in front of you. That would be nice. So who's that stack of 3 pitchers that you would want? Now there goes Adley.
Adley,
we're getting some hitters.
4. Wow. I guess Adley, you know what? That many plate appearances.
2 catchers, isn't it?
2 catchers, yeah.
Yeah.
That many plate appearances from a catcher is crazy.
He played 156 games or whatever last year. So I remember watching him switch hit at the home run derby. That was crazy. Place was going nuts.
Wow, Tariq Skubal getting pushed up. And yeah, good point made here in the chat. 3 starting pitchers here for Team 11.
Yeah.
Oh, that is, and what do we got here?
Man.
Burns, Kirby, and Yamamoto. That is going to be the team that is probably doing very well in pitching stats. Only Trey Turner on the offensive side so far, but it's hard not to like that kind of dominance he got, strikeout wise and everything. I think Corbin is somebody that does worry me a little bit though this year. I'm not as in on him as I think a lot of other people.
Corbin Carroll?
Corbin Burns.
Corbin Burns. Okay. I understand that.
I don't think he'll be a top 5 pitcher for me. I think he'll be closer to 10.
Okay.
Where about you?
Wear down?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think a little bit of wear down. I think what we saw last year, the supporting metrics said that it was even a little bit worse than what it actually was on the surface, and it was like closer to maybe like based on the FIPS and the XFIPS and Sierras and blah blah blah, that he was probably closer to like a 4 ERA. And I just think that that's a little bit risky for me as my number 1 starting pitcher. I think I'll let somebody else take him and go for a Wheeler, a Gausman, a Castillo. I'll take Strider once or twice. Are you interested in Strider? Would you take Strider in the first round?
Probably not. I'm not really a starting pitcher in the first round guy most of the time. Maybe in a head-to-head league, I'm more willing to do it.
Yeah.
But not here. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Nolan Jones. I think Nolan Jones is going to be disappointing. I think he's too expensive.
I'm not. So Welsh and I did this the other day. I think he is going too high, and he has enormous splits. But you expect guys that play in Colorado to have enormous splits. I just hate that lineup. I just really hate that lineup. There goes Rysel. Get a little thin. Cody Bellinger. All right, 2 picks. We're going with an old priest and a young priest, like you said? What are we doing?
Yeah, so I need to lock down some saves. And I think I'm going to do that, even though he might be a little bit risky. I'm thinking Alexis Diaz. I'm thinking Alexis Diaz. And then as the starter, as my SP1, I think I'm going to go Logan Webb.
Okay. So we're going Webby and Alexis Diaz?
Yeah, I think Webb is going a little bit too late still. Yeah. I think Webb is really stable if you just look back on what he's done over the last several years. I think
great ballpark, improving lineup.
Really I like stable, yeah. I like what I got so far. What do you think of my build? What do you think we got so far here, Bogman?
I like it. The one thing that I am worried about is outfielders. Now that we're not worried about pitchers because we got to, now it's outfielders. There's always a worry, right? There goes Framber. Ooh, big run here.
In a 15-team league, you're never going to be able to be flush everywhere. You're going to be behind somewhere, right? And that usually for me does end up being outfielders. Just I play in a lot of 3 outfielder leagues too, so I think that is part of my mentality. Like I'll draft 2 of them here and I'll just kind of forget about it for a while, and then I'll realize.
I understand that. That's how. I mean, that has been a problem for me until like last year, and I entered the fantasy realm in 2014. Is getting used to 5 outfielders, right? Because it's an arms race out there. You have to have good ones, and it gets ugly pretty quickly. So that would be my one concern. But I also if you're building your infield, and this is what I did in my mock today, so maybe I'm just a little more fresh brain to it here, but I built my infield crazy first because just guys kept falling and I liked the value, so I kept taking infielders. And then I went with just kind of specific area guys in the outfield. You can piece it together like that, but obviously you prefer not to do it like that. You just want the best players at the top. You don't want to have to because I was taking I was like, okay, I'll just get some average. So I'm taking like Seiya and Yoshida was on my list and stuff like that at one point. So, man, look at all these pitchers. Good Lord.
Yeah. And to your outfielder point, there haven't been that many taken. There's going to be a point where outfielders just start flying. And that is one of my.
Nobody's taking outfielders because everyone is taking pitchers. Look at this. Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pitchers taken here. Just look at it's a yellow brick road going back to middle of round 3. Mostly since middle of round 3, since it was Devin Williams taken, it's like 50%, more than 50% pitchers here. Easily.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now look, I did say the 4th round was a pitcher round, and it was, but obviously, and now the 5th round is making a bid for the pitching round here. So
yeah. What do you
catchers?
What do you use for drafts? What do you mean by that? What do you use for drafts?
You mean like normal league, like what website, like Fantrax or Yahoo or whatever?
If you're curious about what site this is called the NFBC, the National Fantasy Baseball Championship, which a lot of people I don't think are as familiar with if you're used to playing on Yahoo or ESPN. It's essentially just a place where you can be playing all year round. They start their drafts like pretty much the day the season ends. You can be drafting throughout the off season, mostly roto leagues. There's some points leagues as well. No head-to-head, all 15-team non-trading leagues. There's some 12-team leagues as well, but just a different site. Interface you're using for the picks. Yeah, it's NFBC.
Oh, yeah. And this is NFBC. Yeah, I usually use Fantrax. I start on Yahoo. Never been an ESPN guy.
I've played in a couple of those leagues just because sometimes the ADP is just so ridiculous that you can kind of take advantage of it a little bit, but it's not the greatest.
ESPN hates baseball, and the only rank that they do, no matter what format you play, is for points. The ranking is for points. So you can find all kinds of deals on ESPN. At least that's the way it was last year. Maybe they'll improve it this year again. But
Yeah.
what do you think of Nico Horner, Joe? Because Welsh is out on Nico Horner, and I'm kind of feeling that way too. I don't know if he provides you enough power.
Yeah,
You don't get him for power. I understand that, but power's an arms race. You have to keep up, and he's gonna hover around 10.
Yeah, and I think even that is like maybe like he could have like 5, and I don't think it would be that surprising either, right? Like he was a guy that went a couple years without hitting a homer. Like he went from 2019, he hit 3 homers, and then none in 2020, none in 2021. Granted, it wasn't over like a whole season, but yeah, he's turned it around these last couple of years. But I think that you could also see like 7 homers from him. Those 43 steals probably aren't going to be 43 again. I'm not super in on him. I think that you can kind of replicate that kind of profile a little bit later on down the board of like a batting average, a little bit of steals, like round 4, round 3, round 5, that kind of range for me at a position that I think is like, you can work around that. I don't know that you really need to be taking him here. So yeah, I think I'm generally kind of out.
I am too. Look at all of this pitching. We've had 3 batters go and another one. We're going to have a round with 3 batters.
Yeah, Contreras, Kim.
Or 4.
Kim's another one that I think is like similar to Horner. I'm kind of like a little bit more in on Kim, I think. You get like 3 positions of eligibility. But I think they're kind of similar in the fact that like they're probably not going to be able to do exactly what they did again.
I also think that there's a little more power available from him. Not a ton, but more. Yuri and Bobby Miller 1-2 punch for Fertel's first 2 starters. I love Ohtani, Harper, Hader, Rosarena, Perez, and Miller. I really like that start.
That could be a nasty team. Yeah. Yuri and Bobby Miller, if they reach their potential, like Yuri is like 20. I think he's still 20 years old, or maybe he's 21.
Can't even buy a beer, right?
Yeah. Maybe he's 21. Insane. Yeah. Come down to Toronto. You can have a beer down here, Yuri, when you play the Blue Jays.
I'm literally 2 decades older than Yuri Perez. So
that's crazy.
That does not feel great. Yelich, there he goes.
Free.
Stop with the pitchers, for God's sake. There got to be some good. Well, who are the hitters left? Obviously, I don't have the board in front of me. I'm not in this league.
The hitters are right now top of the ADP: Jazz Chisholm, Machado, Trout, Paul Goldschmidt. We have Will Smith, O'Neill Cruz, Schwarber, Christian Walker.
Maybe there's some hitters.
There's some hitters. There's some hitters falling. Those old boring guys. Trout.
You old and boring.
Old and boring. Mike Trout. Who would have thought Mike Trout in round 6?
That's Strickland or whoever this is, Team 11. That's his second hitter. He went Turner, Burns, Kirby, Yamamoto, Sewald, Trout.
Yeah.
Lots of pitching, man. The pitching is so expensive in this draft. Maybe we influence that. I don't know. Hopefully they're not all watching us.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows how many are in here watching, if it's 14 or if it's 0. I'm gonna take the lower end of that number. Larry in the chat asked what pick I am. I am number 1, numero uno. And we got a question here for points leagues: batter heavy or pitcher heavy early? I don't play nearly as many points leagues as I used to. Bogman, are you more in tune with points leagues at the moment?
I got to tell you, I hate me a points league. I do not like it. But I'll say it really depends. What I would do is, in your specific league, go and look and see if the total points are mixed well. Are they mixed well? Is it some pitchers, some hitters, or is it one side heavy, right? Because it seems like there's not really a consensus on how to score points leagues, depending on, which website you're on or who's running it or whatever. There's not like a full consensus on, that there is a standard, but it's not really used as much. I feel like, category 5x5s are way more standard. So in a points league, I would look at and see what happened last year. Was it leaning pitcher heavy? Was it leaning hitter heavy? And kind of work off of that. But in general, I want pitchers. Pitchers score the most. They can save you a week. That's who I want.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Points leagues, like you mentioned, like every site kind of has their own thing for points leagues.
Right.
I wish there was some kind of like football standard of like there's PPR, there's half PPR, whatever, and there's maybe there's a couple of different standards, but CBS has their own thing. Yahoo does their own thing. ESPN has their own thing. There's best balls. It's just underdog. There's just so much. So even if you are making points league content, you got to make like 5 different ranking lists. Like it's just bizarre, you know?
Who did you say Team 7 is again? Because he's definitely Ricky Bobby. This is if he ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby Inc.
It's Matty Wood, and it's Matty
Wood.
Davis from FTN Fantasy, and he put in the group chat of the draft that he's drunk at a restaurant celebrating his brother's birthday.
Yeah, that's the way to draft. Now, see here, these hitters go. Cruz, Jazz, and Machado right in front of you. So you had to watch all the pitchers go, and then here the good hitting values are coming off the board.
Yeah, Ryan Presley now. Let me see who I have available to me. Top of the board.
I'm hoping Goldie goes team 2 or 3 so that you don't regret taking Vladdy here. Because you could have got Goldie. I mean, you can still take him at 6. I think that would be an incredible deal, but you don't really need him.
I don't need him, yeah. Same argument with Walker, you know, and maybe I shouldn't have taken Vladdy, but I'm not gonna be upset about taking that. I still believe in him.
Vladdy's still great, but
I still believe in him here. I'm just thinking if I should maybe take another starter and go like one starter, one position player kind of thing.
Probably what I'd do.
I think that's probably best in this range, though. I don't love the starters, but I won't be up for so long again, you know?
Right. You gotta like we said, it's an arms race. Sometimes you gotta hold your nose, take a player you don't like that much. There goes Goldie, 1 pick in front of you. Greatest pick ever is Vlad. So good, such a great pick.
Okay, I don't honestly love any of the pitchers going right now. I don't mind Bradish.
What about a closer?
I don't mind a couple of them, and there's one that I think is probably who I'm going to take, and I guess there's no point in me hiding it. It's probably going to be Pete Fairbanks is one of them, and I think the other pick will be probably an outfielder, and man, I hate drafts. I love them and I hate them.
20 seconds.
You know what? Okay, I know what I'm going to do here. Pete Fairbanks will start. We'll get one of these picks off the board. And then another position that I don't love to wait on specifically is catcher. And I think Yainer Diaz is probably going to be really, really good this year. And honestly, I'm going to put this one on Bubba because I was watching his catcher preview yesterday. And Bubba is such a catcher guy. He's talked me into Yainer over the course of the offseason.
I believe Bubba writes up catchers in Joe Pisapia's Black Book as well every year. So
yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all. He's big on catchers. He loves him some catcher. And I think Yainer Diaz is going to be playing 120, 130 games in that ridiculous lineup. We saw high batting average.
Yeah.
Yeah. My God, that was driving me nuts. Maldonado. Dusty Baker and then Chas McCormick too. Chas McCormick was not playing regularly for some reason. Drove me nuts, but hopefully we don't have to deal with that this season.
Dusty.
Thoughts on Ellie De La Cruz as a keeper in a points league? I mean,
oh yeah, he strikes out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on who else you got, how many keepers. I think it'd be hard to not keep him, but
yeah, and you got to remember, I mean, these guys are not finished products when they come up. So I don't know that Ellie is going to be ever going to get to a point where the strikeouts aren't affecting his overall value in a points league, but he still has room for improvement. And those other numbers obviously are going to come up. So you can't sell him now. I would wait until he's exploding like he was last year at one point. That's when you trade him if you do want to get out from under him because of the strikeouts. So, let him do a little work and, get high in everybody's eyes, then deal him.
The upside in that park and that lineup, everybody kind of just coming up at the same time. Marte is going to be really good. I mean, Steer was really good. Matt McClain was ridiculous. Like
CES, and they put Candelario in the middle of that to Steer and CES. Ugh.
Candelario just eating away playing time from those younger guys. I don't love it, but I mean, you're adding just another insurance bat. I think India's probably going to be dealt, and that'll clear the room a little bit there. But I agree with you. It's been hard. I'm trying to do my own projections this year. It's been incredibly hard to do Cincinnati. It's impossible to figure out playing time. Impossible.
Brian Reynolds is a somewhat conservative pick when you're celebrating a birthday in a bar. Come on.
Outfielder, to your point, and that's something I'm going to have to think about too. I got one outfielder in my first 7 rounds here. Probably going to have to take at least one next time I'm up on the board. I don't love being at the turn now that I'm actually at the turn, because I'm number 1 in this draft, and in the slow draft champions that I'm in, I am number 8. So I'm literally
took you 7 rounds to realize you hate the turn here, Joe. He's all DMing me. I get Acuna finally in a draft, and now you hate this turn. You still have Acuna, man.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I hate having to wait so long between picks. That's like I like being able to take 2 players. That compensates for it for sure. But just the actual
it is a little more. It's way more torturous.
Yes.
While you're watching all of these guys come off the board. You're like, come on, man. Come on.
I haven't been killed by a huge run, though, that was really like that killed me, you know? Like I was able to get Webb where I kind of wanted him. I think he's a solid SP1 considering it was round 5. It's not like there was like 10 pitchers I really wanted that went off the board right in a row right before. Like I think it's been luck wise, and I should probably, knock on wood saying that, but it hasn't been like I haven't been getting snake bitten here in terms of my picks. And I didn't take a starting pitcher last round, and that might come back to bite me, but I just didn't really like anybody in that range. Ooh. And I think honestly, going forward, I'm going to have to take another starter or 2. I think Lane Thomas is too early. I think that's too early.
I do too, but I'll say this: if he repeats what he did last year, you're buying him at cost.
Yeah,
I think you and I both don't think he's going to repeat those numbers, so that's why we don't think he's a value. But if he repeats those numbers, you're getting him where you should. So
yeah,
depends on how much you trust him.
I just don't know how repeatable that is in that terrible lineup.
Who are the other outfielders available right now? Who did Lane Thomas go ahead of?
Nick Castellanos, Spencer Steer, Seiya Suzuki, George Springer, Jordan Walker, Esteury Ruiz, Evan Carter, Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in there I would still take over Thomas. But, I mean, outfield gets thin pretty quick. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing right here.
Yeah.
Arenado with the big fall, because what we're on pick. What pick overall is this?
It's like 100. He went at 101. He was in my queue. I would have taken him if he was still there, I think.
Yeah, Arenado going post 100 might end up being one of the best values. And that's team 11 who went pitcher heavy here too, taking hitter values. Very smart strategy so far.
Yeah, that team is going to be really good. Paul Sewald got Paul Sewald. I should bring my cat in here. Paul Sewald as
he's helping us.
Closer. Oh, look at the guy.
That's Captain.
Oh man, I wish I could get my cat in here, but I'd bring my cat in and I kind of got to like close the door to shelter off the noise from my family. And then the cat would want to join the family and scratch the door to get out. I'd be up and down the whole time. There's been a couple of shows that I've done where there's been animal interference.
Oh yeah.
That was the funniest animal incident I had is when I was doing my trade deadline show and Jeff Erickson's cat came on the desk. And Jeff picked up the cat and tossed the cat over his shoulder. That was the funniest cat-related, animal-related thing I can remember.
People don't realize that cats land on their feet almost 100% of the time.
You can toss those things around. You can throw them around like a baseball. They'll be fine. I'm just trying to look at some of these other teams and just see how many pitchers generally everybody's taken at this point. It's usually through 7 rounds, 3 pitchers. Most teams have taken 3 pitchers.
Well, calm down this round. Round 7, we've only seen 3 go, and we're on the last pick.
So. Yeah, only 2 starters, 1 reliever. A lot different than the earlier rounds, and I'm okay with that because there's a couple of pitchers that I was kind of hoping were going to still be there, and the more hitters that do go in this range, more likely that I am going to see them come back. But again, I got 15 picks still, so we'll see. And there goes a pitcher, so I should just shut up, and there's another pitcher.
Team 15 here going pitcher heavy. 3 position players, 5 pitchers so far. So, and you're only starting 9, right?
You start 9 pitchers, yeah.
So people are getting it out of the way early. I'm a little surprised.
In a format like this, how would you personally weigh starters versus closers in this kind of format?
I'm still starter heavy. I mean, look, I love the closers, but everybody's going to pick a closer that gets hurt or loses his job or, doesn't end up with a job by spring training because it's January. We're not even halfway through freaking January here, and all of us crazy asses are doing these drafts. So that's just the kind of psychos we are. But look, I'm leaning on starters here because they're not losing their job. if they get hurt, they get hurt. They all get hurt. So, I just think there's way less risk. So I think I would probably, because there's way less risk, I think I would invest closers first, starters second. But it doesn't mean I would take a closer first over a starter. It just means that is my general look, is I want those high-end closers because they're not going to be finicky about their job. Yeah. You got two. You got Diaz and Fairbanks. So
Fairbanks, I think the skills are there, but the
Rays are weird.
The innings pitched these last couple of seasons haven't been amazing. And of course, the Rays
they're weird.
The Rays, right?
Yeah.
They might go to Jason Adams sometimes. They might, have some guy that they conjure out of thin air.
Might decide Pete Fairbanks is the best opener in the history of baseball and just have him start doing that 4 days a week.
There will be some guy we've never heard of that saves 7 or 8 games and has a 1.32 ERA.
And everybody wants him to be the closer, right?
Yeah, that's the Rays. George Springer goes after Tanner Scott here and Seiya Suzuki. So we're getting a couple of more outfielders that are starting to go off the board over the last round or so. And that'll be something where they're kind of forcing my hand. I am going to have to address outfield. It's getting to the point where I don't want to be left behind too much. Kenley goes off the board here to Ray Murphy in round 8. And Clay Holmes, another closer, goes off the board. And I'm okay with closers going off the board because
you got 2. Starters. So we need a starter. Yeah.
So
who are we looking at? Are we looking at outfield? Who's up at the top? There's Torque.
I think outfield starting pitcher is probably what makes sense. And honestly, Nick Castellanos, I think, is pretty appealing to me at this point. I think he's kind of undervalued. He was really good last year. He's in a really good lineup. He plays at a position where it is kind of thin. And he's going to be falling past ADP here if he does end up getting to me. So putting it out there, ready to get hurt like Michael Scott, and it will be Nick Castellanos if he does come to me.
One thing's for sure, I'm ready to be hurt again.
And knowing me, it will be sooner rather than later. Let's see about the pitching side of things, though. The top of the board is Walker Buehler, Tanner Bybee.
I love
Cole Reagans just goes off the board there.
Love
in round 8. You like Cole this year?
I do. Just that improved velocity last year. I think he's going to turn into a stud. I'm excited to see him.
I can see it.
KC's a tough spot, but
yeah,
if you're a dominant starter, we saw Zach Greinke win a Cy Young there, right? So
yeah. The thing that I don't buy is that he went to KC and they fixed him. Like, I don't think KC fixes anything.
I read an article on him from MLB.com, and he said he started to see the improved velocity at the end with Texas. And then when he got to Kansas City, they tweaked a couple more things and, here it comes. So,
yeah, I'd be much more inclined to believe that he did it on his own or Texas did something than Kansas City really had much of involvement in it.
He went to one of those summer or those winter programs,
Driveline
in the off season. It wasn't Driveline, but it was something, some similar for pitchers. Driveline for pitchers.
Oh, what was
I can't remember the name.
Tread out.
All right. I think Ruben C might be listening to, because he took Goldie after I talked about him, and then he took Casty after you talked about him. So we might have to shut our mouth on our way back here. So
it's okay. I put it out there knowing I was going to get hurt.
That's right.
Now, at this point, this might be a little bit of a risk, but Walker Buehler's looking kind of appealing at pick 120.
Hey, in Roto, all those innings count the same, man. So don't take him in head-to-head, but take him in Roto. I like it.
I think Walker Buehler is going to be the pitcher that I take here.
Buehler.
I think, there is some risk, but I think usually off of TJ, you have a year where you're usually really, really good. And I think I'll take a chance.
8 seconds.
Yeah. Buehler is the first guy. And then
gotta find a replacement for Casty.
There's a lot of teams don't have a lot of outfielders at this point, and teams will start to take them, but maybe I just say to hell with it and don't take an outfielder here.
Do what's best for the team, man.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the team needs right now?
I would say probably outfielder if I'm picking something. You don't have a third baseman either, but they have been slipping.
Yeah, outfield is not great right now. I could take a chance on Jordan Walker.
It's probably what I would do. Who's at third?
Noel B. Marte, Bohm, Hayes, Berger, but they're way down in ADP.
Give me Walker out of that group.
I think I'm probably there with you.
10
I think
seconds.
yeah. I think I'm there
Quick
with
decision.
you.
Yeah, there it is. Boom.
Yeah.
Jordan Walker. Yeah, I mean, look, take a risk, upside. There goes Dan's Bay.
And even in his quote unquote bad season, he batted 276. Like he had 16 homers, 7 steals. It wasn't like he was terrible.
He wasn't bad at the plate. He was awful in the field. He was god awful in the field. And he ended up making some amazing plays down the stretch too. He got way better. Just like Casty. I don't know if you saw the thing about Casty, how they looked at all of the plays that he couldn't make, and they figured it out that he needs to start to his right so he can run to his left. So he always plays like 2 or 3 extra steps to the right because he's just better at running down a ball if he has to run to his left. And he started making plays out there. It's just crazy how some of that stuff works.
Wasn't he a natural third baseman?
Casty, I don't think he was very good in the field at all.
Jordan Walker was a natural third baseman, right?
Yeah, Walker was.
Walker was, and then he had to move because of Arenado.
Yeah, I mean, Arenado won 10 Gold Gloves in a row, so can't move him.
You're gonna move, yeah. You're not gonna be the one moving him. That's the case.
Yeah, he didn't win it this year. It was Hayes.
First time that he hadn't won it in his career.
Yeah, in his career, I didn't realize that, but I knew it was 10 seasons. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it was the first time.
Right after I got my PlayStation, I hadn't played video games in like almost a decade, and I got a PlayStation in 2021, and I was playing MLB The Show, and I was playing against the Welsh, and our game ended because Nolan Arenado overthrew Goldie at first or something, and I was furious because I was a Cardinal. So I was like, 9-time Gold Glover, he's gonna overthrow the first baseman, and that's how the game ends. Okay, well, whatever you say, MLB The Show. So
yeah, I don't love certain things about video games. I don't play them nearly as much as I used to. Do you guys still do any streams? Do you guys still stream video games?
No, I mean we more stream like Bet This League, and I stream the Natty, the College Football National Championship and stuff. But yeah, I mean I probably play more. I just don't stream it because it's always at 1 a.m. So
yeah, you guys used to do some Madden stuff and whatnot, right?
Yeah, Madden was fun, but I just think the show is so much better than Madden. So I don't really play Madden at all anymore. I didn't buy this year's, so and the Steelers are terrible too. So not a fun year to have them. So
yeah, Steelers still snuck their way in
playoffs. Yeah,
they always figure it out somehow.
My Steelers devil magic. I talk about it all the time. No one wants to believe me. It's devil magic.
They always seem to figure it out. Tomlin he's a Hall of Famer. He's a damn Hall of Fame coach. I don't know how he's able to do it. Salvi Perez is somebody said today online that Salvi Perez is a Hall of Famer. I don't know, man. Joe Mauer's probably gonna be given some hard time getting in. I don't know that Salvi's gonna get in.
Won a World Series, bunch of Gold Gloves.
Yeah, I just don't think the overall production is that of a Hall of Famer. I don't know. If
it might not be. I would have to
WAR and stuff. He has 15 career WAR or something. I don't know how much they read into that, but I don't know. And for fantasy purposes, I think he's fine. But I'm not a huge fan of anybody in that lineup outside of Witt, really. I think Vinny P might be able to surprise, but overall,
I like Velasquez. They got Hunter Renfroe in there. It's not as bad as it was last year.
Yeah, they're okay, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to get excited. It's hard to get excited about them.
For sure. Yeah, I don't blame you there. Alzolay. What do you think of Imanaga going to the Cubs? Imanaga, however you say it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird. I don't know that the Cubs ever really know exactly what they are, if they're ever trying to compete or not compete. They're not, I don't think, going to sign Bellinger back. They haven't seemed to be serious about that, but they're going to sign Imanaga or however you say it. And I don't know, is the win total going to really be that different next year? Are they going to be another year where they kind of just try and sneak into the postseason? And I don't know.
A little Homer happy too, Bailey Obert. Yeah, we're getting to the point of these pitchers where it's Verlander's old. Hunter Green was hurt so much. Montgomery doesn't have a team. These are still great pitchers. I'm not trying to. They're in the top 10 rounds, right? They're in the top 150. So I'm not trying to knock them. It's just this is when you wait, this is what you pick through. But you took Bueller, who is coming off of TJ. So
Bueller is it was a risk.
They're all risky. Yeah.
Risky
That's
pick.
what you get here. Sean Murphy, man.
Yeah,
Good
you're
pick.
not getting anybody at this point really after pick 100 that's unimpeachable. There's always going to be something there. And Bueller, like, I'm just kind of banking on a Verlander effect of, he comes back and he's just kind of his old self again. Pitching for a great team. There's great win upside. He's not going to have as much pressure on him because there's so many different great pitchers around him. I think that Walker Bueller can be really good. Tyro Estrada, I love this year.
Thyroid. I love him.
Love him too. I think he's going to be stealing a lot more with Bob Melvin. I forget if it was Jason Collette or somebody was talking when we were in Arizona about.
It was assuredly Collette because he was doing the stolen bases. Yeah,
it was probably Collette. Yeah, talking about what he expects out of San Francisco with Bob Melvin being the manager, and I think that Tyro and a lot of those guys are going to steal a lot more. They were dead last season in steals. I think that's going to change.
Bunch of mealy mouth answers in the press box. I can tell you that. I can't stand Bob Melvin, but he was a manager of my team, and I didn't like him. So
you forgot about that.
Can you move the board down so we can see it a little bit? So Craig Kimbrell. I know Craig Kimbrell was signed to close, and I understand that. But I hate Craig Kimbrell. So I'm going to be scooping up Cano in a bunch of spots, waiting for the inevitable, in my opinion, on Craig Kimbrell to give that job up. So
you think it'll be because of injury or because he's performance-wise?
Sucks. He only has 2 pitches, and they're becoming terrible.
I am not sure how I feel about him. I liked him like when he first signed and he was still going pretty late. I was liking him around like 200, but he's creeping up closer to 100. Where did he go?
He's had an unbelievable career, man. Like Craig Kimbrell, I don't mean to like crap on him now, but I watched him in the playoffs against my Diamondbacks. Alec Thomas hit that enormous homer off of him. He just doesn't have it to me. Teoscar, the Dodgers is so absurd. They've spent $1 billion literally $1 billion this offseason, and he's not getting paid until like 2029 or some nonsense.
For a 1 year deal.
I mean, yeah.
I know we're gonna come off as sounding sour, but it's bullshit. I personally think it's just bullshit.
Sucks.
And I think
money.
When they get to the point of having to renegotiate the whole CBA and everything, I think they're gonna be talking about this whole deferred money business. I don't know. And how much it really matters is anybody's guess, because if you look at the last 20 years of the Dodgers, it's not like they've been not able to do this. They've been doing the exact same thing. It's not like this is like the first time they've done this or whatever. It's kind of the same shit we've always seen from them. It's not like, I don't know. But I think that they've taken it a step too far at this point. It's a little bit too much. When it's Glass now, it's Yamamoto, it's Ohtani, and it's Hernandez, and it's probably Hader, and who knows if it's going to be Snell too or somebody else. It's like just enough already. Enough is enough.
They better not be able to afford Hader, dude. That's going to be too much. Like,
oh, it's coming, man.
What are they going to pay him in 2050? Are they going to give him monopoly money? Like, what the hell's going to happen here?
Right in the contract, the money will be paid to his descendants, and he will never see it.
You better have kids. You better have a lot of them. They're all going to get money from the Dodgers. So
it's wild.
Glass now, Yamamoto, Shohei, and Teoscar. That's pretty good. Pretty good off season.
Yeah, I'll say so. From a team that's major acquisition has been Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Yeah, I will say so.
I mean, hey, look, my team re-signed Lourdes, spent on Eduardo. So I'm happy with what the Diamondbacks have been doing. I would love it if we could sneak Soler in there. Ooh, that would be
there was Lourdes, there was Eduardo, and wasn't there one other thing?
Lourdes, Eduardo. Oh, they traded for Suarez.
Right? Suarez. You like that move?
I do. Yeah. I think Lawler is going to push Perdomo out of that job. So
yeah,
but it could be. I mean, we could also DH Eugenio and have Lawler maybe play third because Perdomo's great in the field, but. I don't know. I think Lawler's going to have to get in that lineup at some point. So unless they trade him for Corbin Burns or a starter or something. So,
dude, I'm just looking at the outfielders going in like the 170, 180 range. Chas McCormick, Wyatt Langford, Yoshida, Jarren Duran, Brandon Nimmo. There's a lot of guys I really like. I don't feel as bad about waiting on outfielder as I did maybe 10 minutes ago.
There goes Cedric.
Cedric is, oh man, I don't know what to think of him.
That's a good value right there, though. I think
Yeah,
at
round 10.
147. Yeah.
I did an Orioles preview on the show yesterday. If you guys missed that one with Ben Palmer from Pitcher List, and we both think that there's a decent chance that he's able to make his way back to the top of the order at some point. He's
I
not
think so.
necessarily stuck as a 6 or a 7 guy. Bassett off the board. Bassett is so good for this kind of format. He's somebody that's going to be able to give you a lot of innings. I think that's a really good pick. Now, I should probably take another starting pitcher. I think that's probably wise to go.
Buehler and Webb, yeah. So I think so.
Buehler and Webb at this point. And I think if I'm just going based off of what I'm seeing here, it would be a little risky. But in this kind of format, do I take a chance on him? I think I do.
What would Ricky Bobby do is my question. If you ain't first, you're last.
You know what? I think I'm going. I'll go with Hunter Brown. I'm going to go Hunter Brown, even though I think he might have been there on my next
I believe
pick.
someone I know tweeted out, "You are too low on Hunter Brown."
Somebody did. I don't know.
Can't remember who that was.
Some asshole. Some schmuck.
Some guy that is super tall that I met in Arizona. So
I love him. And I might pair him with another member of the Astros here. And I think I will.
Chaz.
No more Dusty. We got another outfielder. I like what we've done so far through 11 rounds. I might have gone a little early on Hunter, like he might have come back, but I'm just bought in. I'm just bought in, and I think I think at this price point, like 150 or so, you can take some chances. I think I have a really solid, steady base of my team. Like I think the way I started off, Acuna, Lindor, Vlad is very safe. I think Diaz is a very safe closer. Webb, I think there's a really solid base there. It's not like I didn't take, Ellie De La Cruz. I didn't take Royce Lewis. I didn't take those types. I think that I'm okay to be a little riskier with a guy who maybe won't pan out with a Hunter Brown, but I think the upside is there for him to be really, really good.
So no regrets. That's your credo. No regrets.
No regrets as of right now, but we'll see. Of course, by the time April 1st comes around, middle of the afternoon, there will be regrets. Always how it works. That first game of the season when your first pitcher out goes like 2 1/3 and gives up 7 earned runs, and you're so happy fantasy's back, and you check your ERA and it's 21.4. It's like, oh my god. That's why we do it. That's why we spend all off season prepping. It's a long season though.
Opening day is the best day of the year. It's every single year. 100%.
I love opening day. I love the trade deadline. There's a few of them that are great, but opening day is incredible.
I love, I know people don't like the All-Star game, but I love the home run derby. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I like the derby. I like the whole atmosphere of like the social interaction around it too. They're all kind of friendly. The game itself is not really my thing. But
yeah. It's I've been to a couple. It's fun to go to them. You see the fans of every team. I will tell you though, Seattle, which was my first one in almost 10 years that I went to. I went in 2014 also. But in Seattle this year, my buddy lives up there, so I got a free flight and a free place to stay. So it was pretty cheap for me to go this year. And God, the Seattle fans, what they're doing to that team is disgusting because those people showed up for their team in the All-Star game. They were there out in force. I saw more Mariners fans that weekend than I went in Kansas City when Kansas City was voting 65 million times to get all of their guys as starters in the All-Star game, right? I went in the middle of that, and there were more Mariners fans than there were Royals fans at the All-Star game. So, I mean, it was a great crowd, and to see them just tearing down that team and selling it off for parts and cutting payroll is just disgusting to me. I hate it.
So this past season, you attended the World Series, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you attended the All-Star game?
Yeah, I did.
That's cool, man.
It's a good year. Yeah.
That's a good year.
Yeah. I mean, probably how long am I going to have until another World Series? Hopefully not too long, but it was 22 years between them. So I just figured I had to go. So
Well, I'm here through 25 years of life, and my Blue Jays have not sniffed a World Series. So if there was a chance for they came up, if there were, if the Jays were in a
hey,
World Series, I would be laying out the mortgage. I'd be, leaning on the house.
your boy saw Joe Carter hit a walk-off. I wasn't there, but I watched it on TV when I was a kid. That was unbelievable.
You must have been like a little kid, man.
Yeah,
3, 4.
Because that was that 88?
They won in 90. The walk-off was the second year. That was 93.
93. I was 10.
You were 10 in 93. Okay.
Yeah.
I was -6.
Eduardo. I was 18 when the Diamondbacks won the World Series, and I did go to that game. That was game 7. And that was a total fluke that I got to go to that game. It was my cousin's neighbor, had just moved there, like right before the season started, didn't really know anybody. And he was going to take his daughter, and his daughter got the flu. So he gave the tickets to my cousin because he knew my cousin was a baseball fan. And my cousin called me and said, we're going to the World Series. And I said, I'm on my way. And I paid $100 for parking in 2001 and went to game 7. It was unbelievable.
That's wild. Being able to see your team win a World Series or World Series, Stanley Cup, whatever, Super Bowl, when you're in like at any point, but when you're in like that kind of teenage, like I was 20 when the Raptors won the championship a couple years ago. And I was at the point like Toronto had broken me down for so long. I was like, I'm never going to see a championship. And they actually won. And it was so cool to be like relatively young, being able to celebrate that. I didn't have to wait. Like my dad was born the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. He was born that same year, but 6 months later. So in his 57, 58, whatever years of life, he's never seen it. So it's bad for me, but man, I can't even imagine what he's not even a hockey fan anymore because of that. He doesn't even watch anymore.
It sounds like a Browns fan.
They break it down. They wear you down over time. And look, I mean, there's only so much you can do as a fan. You cheer for so many years. It's like the Rockies fans. How do the Rockies fans keep showing up? Athletics fans. I mean, you got to feel for a couple teams.
I mean, A's fans, get a new team.
Oakland, the city of Oakland.
How can you support that team?
The city of Oakland lost the Raiders, they lost the Warriors, and they lost the Athletics within the span of like 4 years. Like that's brutal. They lost all their teams. I don't even know how you recover. Like if you're a fan of those teams, what are you even supposed to do? Like
move to Vegas, man. Move to Vegas.
Move to Vegas.
Why would you stay in Oakland? Move to Vegas.
Yeah, at that point. Oh man, I should probably take a look at who's on the board here and see.
Yeah, so we haven't been really breaking it down. So after you took McCormick, Arise, King, Sale, Edmund, Happ, Riley Green, Merle, my boy Merle fell. I like that. Jose Barrios, Jorge Soler, I thought was a great value by Team 11 here. Eduardo, Noelvi, Shane Bieber, Bo Naylor, Christian Javier, Jonah Heim, Mitch Keller, and Logan O'Hoppe. Man, these catchers are going high. I know it's 2-catcher league, but
catchers starting to fly. That's why I took Diaz when I did, because that's when people start to, not necessarily right then, but you'll start to see them really start to fly. And I think with Diaz, I'm getting some batting average at a catcher, which is not something that's terribly common. Good lineup, so I'm okay with that. And then we still
need second base and short, right, and third.
Yeah, so I still need my second catcher. I need second base. I need third, a corner, a middle, and utility.
We got short?
I got Lindor, yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Okay.
And then I have 4 more pitcher spots to fill. So I don't need to think about pitching for a little while at this point.
So who are give us some hitters at the top of the board here?
The top of the board right now, Marcelo Zuna, Alec Boehm, Cabrian Hayes, Jake Berger, Wyatt Langford, Kyrit Ruiz, Max Muncy, Masataka Yoshida, Trevor Story. That's kind of the top 10 or so right there.
That Hayes looks like he's 12 years old in that picture. Not even a whisper of facial hair at all.
Dude, I think Vinny Pasquantino is kind of interesting too. Like he was pretty much a top 100 pick last year. He got hurt. Now he's 100 picks cheaper. Nothing really changed. Like he's healthy now. He had the labrum, but he's had surgery. He's healthy. Like I think he's a good value.
Yeah, that's the overcorrection.
Yeah,
that you get with a lot of guys that get hurt, right? Is you get the overcorrection or guys that underperform you get the overcorrection on where people will just be like, I'm not taking this a-hole ever again, And I've been that guy a million times, so I'm not blaming anyone for it. You get burned, you get burned. That's what it is. But
Carlos Estevez.
I like it. Yeah, closers are just ridiculous.
But is like Estevez, who else is on the board at this point in terms of closers? Are we really that sparse? I mean, yeah, we kind of are. Alex Lang, Jose Leclerc. There's one other name that I'm not going to say out loud in case team 2 is actually listening in.
That's funny.
Team 2, Rubenstein. I think you potentially were listening in, and
I don't know. I didn't solid verbal.
I didn't even say it out loud, but Chris Bassett I was kind of interested in too. So I think this guy might just be kind of in line with me mentally. Maybe he follows me or something, or listens to my show. I don't even know. But scarily in line with what I've done. He did take Luis Castillo in round 2. It's funny, like you mentioned, like sometimes there's that overcorrection. After Castillo had that terrible, terrible season in Cincy, I just kind of wrote him off for a couple of years. And I've kind of had to come back around. But it was that scoring lover thing that I think Spore coined that one. After they hurt you one year, you kind of need to take a year off sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes you just need a break from a player.
Just can't do it 2 years in a row. You can't. You're like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You fool again, you fool again. Yeah. One of my favorite drops. And I was editing a mock 2 minutes before we started this. So
yeah, you use that on ITL, right?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh, there's Rodon. I was thinking about Rodon, and I love him this year, but I love him more in a league where I can drop him. I don't love him in a league where he's stuck on my team.
There is no fucking way I would take him here. Not a chance. That dude, and I avoided him like the plague last year, and he was awesome. And then this year, I was like, maybe I'm in on Rodon. I didn't get him anywhere because he went too high, and then he got hurt again. So Jake Berger, I think that's a great pick by Team 2 here. Who's it going to be, Joey? Who's it going to be?
We are going to go
Wes
with an outfielder, I think. I think we're going to go we're going to go to Los Angeles, and I think we're going to go with James Outman.
Outman, get you a lefty. Need a lefty in this lineup.
Get some power, got some speed, got a great lineup around him. So we're going to take James Outman.
Gold glove, not coming off the field.
Yep. And
Gold glove caliber.
Didn't he win a gold glove?
They gave it to Doyle.
Oh, right.
Should have been Alec Thomas, but, it's fine.
And I think I might just take care of outfield here. And
last outfielder?
I think this is
no
the
starter.
I need, right? This is my last one.
You don't need a starter. What about short, second, anything like that? We're not just skipping the end of a tier because we're on the end. That's why
there's a couple of guys, but I think I can get them later on at second. Catcher, I'm gonna wait a little bit.
Okay.
Third, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I have a couple people in mind.
All right, well, let's go with it then. Let's go with the outfielder because you got 10 seconds.
We're gonna go with Mr. Brandon Nimmo.
Nimmo. All right. Get us some average. I like it.
I like what Nimmo's done like the last couple of seasons. I talked about this recently too. He stayed on the field. He's the leadoff hitter for the Mets. If I had taken Pete Alonso, I would have had 1, 2, 3 for the Mets there in the order, which would have been kind of interesting. A little DFS type of stack. But I think either way, Nimmo, as long as he's healthy, I'm getting like 20 homers. I'm getting a couple steals, good batting average. He's 100 runs. I like that outfielder's done. I like that outfield's gone, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
And you know what I like about guys like Nimmo and Outman and McCormick is I think people view them as not having crazy upside. So, but they are high floor, all of those guys. And, taking high floor is never bad, especially when you take risks earlier. You went a little early on a catcher. You took Bueller. Jordan Walker's a touch of a risk. You know what I mean? You don't really have a lot of risk. But to get high floor players, it does one of two things. It either eliminates a little risk that you took early, or it allows you risk late. So I like those picks, even in a format like this. But I got to take a pee break. So I will be right back, Joe.
Yeah, you go for it. I am looking at my team, and I'm honestly very happy with it. Like, to Bogman's point, I went and I took Yainer Diaz, who is one of the earlier catchers, Diaz, is going off the board. I mean, in this, Wyatt Langford goes, he's risky because he might not be up when people think he is. I took Diaz as like, what is he, the fifth catcher? He went as the fifth catcher, and I could have waited. I could have gone for like a Ruiz, Logan O'Hoppe, Perez, Wilson Contreras. I love, but I think honestly, you get out in front of that kind of thing, especially being on the turn where I am. And you don't have to say, oh shit, 7 catchers just went in a row right before me, because there is a long time between my picks. So getting out in front of that kind of run is something that I think is preferable in this kind of format. It's not something you have to do, but I think for one of those catcher spots, especially in a 2-catcher league, I think it does make sense. Now, I should fill out the rest of my starting. Well, I guess everybody's a starter here, but in terms of those actual, not the corners and the the middle infield type of thing, I need a catcher, I need a second baseman, and I need a third baseman. And I do have targets for all of these ones. I'm not going to say them because I don't think anybody's really listening to what the hell I'm saying. I know that I have, some people follow me and they listen to what I talk about and maybe take my advice or not, but I don't really think anybody's necessarily going in there and using my strategies against me or whatever. But I'm still going to keep a couple things kind of close to the chest right now. Putting a couple of players in the queue that I think are a little bit undervalued. One of them in particular, I think, is super, super undervalued. And he's somebody that I'm going to be trying to take if I can. He's not going for a long time still, but I might even jump up ahead for this particular player and take him. And I will say that player's name when he does get drafted, because I'm not going to jump out ahead of it. But there's a couple of guys that I think are still actually like pretty decent values, even though like we're getting to pick 200. It's not
plenty of values.
Yeah,
plenty
it's
values.
not.
What is it? You said this is 22 rounds?
23, I think.
23. Okay.
23 rounds. So we're more than halfway through. And yet there's still a lot of guys that I'm thinking like, yeah, I'd be very confident having him on my team this year for the whole year.
What do you think about Langford going there?
See, I like him in a lot of formats, but you
don't know how long.
Yeah. You don't know how long you're eating a 0 for, and it might be a month. It might be he's starting opening day potentially. It might be a month. It might be a September call-up. I don't think he'll be a September call-up, but there's just such an unknown factor with him in this kind of format that I think that it's a chance that you probably shouldn't take. And if it does pan out, it can look really good. Round 13, Wyatt Langford might be one of the best picks this year.
Sure.
But it doesn't come without its big risk as well.
Yeah, for sure. In a format like this, I think I feel a lot better about Nimmo in the 13th versus Langford in the 13th. But yeah. I mean, a month in, I could be like, what the F was I thinking not taking Langford, just because of the nature of the beast and how good he is. And he's number 1 prospect on a lot of boards. So
yeah. He's like, some people I think even have him, like to your point, ahead of Jackson Holiday, which I don't think was something that a lot of people were expecting. I think a lot of people were thinking that Holiday was going to just be the number 1 prospect on everybody's list, but there are somewhere it is Wyatt Langford. He is that good. People talk about him as a generational player, and he could get there. And paying a 13th round price in a 15-team league is not that expensive. It's really not. You can start to take risks. You've already started to take risks probably at that point. If one of them is Langford, I don't have a big problem with it at all.
Muncy, Tovar. Yeah, we get a mix of risk and super safe here.
Let's see. Willie Adames goes after Muncy. Tovar I like. Tovar, I think it's just maybe the Colorado shortstop thing that I think he's just going to follow in the steps of Story and Tulowitzki and just be that next guy there. I think he can kind of do similar things to those guys, be a 20 homer, 20 steal type of player. In Colorado, everybody hits 300.
Inflated numbers, yeah. I mean, we talk about how bad Colorado is all we want, but we still love that ballpark for hitters. So,
yeah. Nolan Gorman was somebody I was considering at second base. Pretty late, good lineup.
His face is almost as orange as that second base thing for him too. I mean, weird pictures, man. Some of these pictures.
Yeah. Jose Alvarado went beginning around 14. I really like him. A lot of people are worried about how the Phillies are going to use him, but I think he'll be the regular closer for the most part. I know people are talking about how Thompson liked to use him last year. but Thompson also liked to have a primary closer last year in Kimbrel. And I think that Alvarado will probably be that 80 to 90% of the time closer. That's my initial take. I might change it over the offseason, but do you have any strong opinions on the Phillies bullpen right now?
Really don't. I took Alvarado today in the mock, so I'm with you. I do think if I'm picking one of those guys, he is the guy. But lefty closers are tough a little bit too. So he's just got great stuff. He has the best stuff in that bullpen. So it's definitely, I think it's his job to lose. So I'll say that. Baz is a little bit of a buzzy pick. What do you think about that one?
Again, in this format, I don't like it. Like, we don't know if he's going to throw even a single inning knowing Shane Baz. Like, the last couple innings combined, I can pull it up. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's probably like, 10 innings pitched or something? Like, there's just no certainty that he is healthy. I haven't followed along so much with his actual injuries, but like, yeah, he didn't pitch at all in 2023. 2022, it was 27 innings. 2021, it was 13 major league innings. There was some in the minors as well, but like 2022 as a whole, with the minors included, was 40 innings, and then none this year. It's a risk, right? And I say that as a guy who took Walker Buehler, who threw 0 innings last year as well. But I think there's more of a track record with Buehler, where with Baz, we actually don't know what he is yet. Like, there's all this hype in the world, but he's thrown 40 major league innings. I have no clue what he's going to look like. And I think in round 14, it could look great, could look stupid. I really don't know. But
so in this format, if Baz was off the board, how many, like, just look at the starting pitchers and just kind of ballpark it. How many would you still take over Baz at this point on the board right now?
That are on the board right now, Brandon Pfaadt is still there. I would take Brandon Pfaadt. I would take Lucas Giolito. I would take Brian Bayo. Charlie Morton, I would take. Reed Detmers, I would take. Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Kenta Maeda.
So like way more than 10 then. So
yeah, I think so.
So you're just not in on Baz.
Marcus Stroman is going like 120 picks later. I'm not a Stroman guy by any means.
Look, if he signs with the Giants, I would love him there.
Stroman is pretty stable every year, as much as he's kind of annoying online and everything.
Yeah, but he wants to go to the Yankees. That's a terrible spot for him. I do not want him to go there. If he goes to the Giants, great.
Why do you hate the Yankees? I heard some people saying they like the Yankees.
The stadium.
Yeah, I think the people were talking
a little homer happy, right? So like, I don't like him there. I want him in San Francisco.
I haven't honestly heard any rumors at all that are, I mean, you hear some reporters toss around some bullshit here and there about they're hearing rumors about this and that, but nothing on Snell, nothing on Bellinger. I don't know what the hell is going on. Snell won the Cy Young. We're halfway through the offseason and nobody's linked to him.
Yeah,
kind of weird.
He must be asking for way too much money.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Scherzer is another tough one.
I'm not taking Scherzer in this format.
Yeah, you just don't know how long he's going to miss. He might be a tough guy and miss a month, or it might just be, I mean, dude couldn't pitch in the World Series, right? So
yeah, he's like 42. It's not like he's some spring chicken that's going to bounce back quickly necessarily,
I'll make fun of 40-year-olds. All right, Joe. All right, whippersnapper. Come on.
I think he's 39. I think he's 39. He's 39.
Yeah.
No, I just don't think he's bouncing back, the way that people might think he is. And I drafted him in that league I drafted in Arizona. That was before the injury had come out. I don't know that I would do it again. Like, I think that at this point, if you're in like a draft and hold and he's falling and you can make it up for a few months, then I don't have a huge problem with it. But I'm on the clock here.
All right. So we got the outfield set. So we're looking at a pitcher. What do we need? We need CIMI, both.
I need a second and a third, and then I need the corners.
Second, third, CIMI, util, and a catcher, right?
Okay. I know who I want to take, and I'm gonna have to jump him by ADP.
Whatever. We're in round 14, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever you want with ADP. Who cares?
Yeah. Okay. You talked me into it.
Matt Chapman. Homer.
He's not even coming back here.
I just had something in my throat. I don't know what that was.
Fucking terrible for us last year.
It was. It was.
I was saying it to Welsh the other day. I'm going to make my pick first, and then is this who I want to take, actually? Ooh, I could take. Ooh. Mm,
Go away debating. Now I was regretting that ADP jump.
no. I still have another pick here. Are we
27.
gonna have some fun? I've already drafted him once though. I need to be careful. But yeah, fuck it. Let's do it.
Oh, Jackson Holiday.
That's a risk. 100%. That is just me trying
But
trying to have fun.
it is. It's
It's a
100% a risk. But you just look at the floor you took with the guys above him, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Taking safe players. Like who are your outfielders? Chaz, Nimmo, Outman, guys that are pretty decent floor.
Chaz, Nimmo, Outman, Walker, and this guy named Ronald Acuna.
Right. Like you have more than enough floor to take a risk here.
Yeah.
So,
And
I mean,
it depends.
a guy that may not play much this year is a little dicey, but I think just like we said with Langford, I think it's sooner rather than later.
Same argument that could be made with Langford.
Yeah,
I got him a couple rounds later than Langford, and maybe that's where I'm, okay with it. I think my team is pretty safe, like you said. And there's somebody else that I was considering, but I think that somebody else is not going to be a hot pick and somebody that I can probably get when it comes back to me.
Put it in the private chat so I can know if you get sniped.
Yeah, I'll get sniped. It'll happen.
There goes Julian. One of my favorites.
There's a couple of guys that I'd be okay with here, and I still need a catcher. I still need second base. I still need one corner. I need corner. Yeah, I need corner, and then I need to fill 4 pitcher spots still.
You need MI2 corner and middle.
No, middle is Jackson Holiday.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, that's right. There goes Junior. What do you think of Caminero?
I'm not a huge prospect guy, but I think he's going to play, and I think Tampa is just a factory. Like I wouldn't doubt that he's going to be amazing.
Well, they need to find a new young stud to represent their team, right? I mean, obviously.
What a mess.
Yeah. Well,
my God,
just disgusting. So, yeah. Wander's done. So done. And just rip the heart out of that team too, right? I mean, like, that team is already kind of floating on if they're going to stay in Tampa, if they're going to move to Montreal, are they going to do this between thing, and then they went and
give out a big contract.
Finally give out that enormous deal, and then here he is. So
it's terrible. It's just terrible for everybody involved. It's just garbage. But yeah, they need to replace him. I don't think it'll be Walls. I think it'll be probably Caminero. And now Caminero can play some third, can play some short, but they'll put you at short if they need you.
It's the Rays. They'll put him all over the goddamn place, and he'll play most days, I think. So I've been investing in Caminero as well.
I got no problem with that at all. At this point, for these pitchers at the end, I'm just kind of looking for just some stable innings guys. They don't even have to be sexy names. Just somebody that I can be pretty sure is going to give me like 170 kind of innings,
Just a safe man I can come home to. He's going to be nice to me. He's going to be stable. I don't have to worry about the bills. Yeah, I see exactly what you're going for. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Just a nice man.
There's certain guys like Lance Lynn is not my favorite because he's going to throw a lot of innings, but
Lance Lynn's my favorite.
They might be shit innings. That's the thing. He's going to throw a lot of innings, but I don't know what they're going to be, and you got to eat them. That was the thing with Lance Lynn last year. He was not only not great, but he threw 183 innings.
I know 4 guys that really like Lance Lynn. You know who they are?
Who's that?
Perdomo, Marte, Moreno, and Walker. When they hit 4 bombs off of Lance Lynn in the playoffs in 1 inning for the first time in MLB history.
Yeah, that was a shit show. That was just, I was watching that one. I was out and I forget where I was. I was with some friends and I was watching it on my phone and it was just ridiculous, man.
Well, my neighbors heard about it. I can tell you that much. I was losing it.
The way my brain remembered it too was that they hit them off of Kershaw, that it wasn't Lynn.
No, it was Lynn.
And then the Kershaw one was just as bad.
Yeah, Kershaw was not good, but that was in Dodger Stadium. So
yeah, that's right. It was just so.
And remember Gabby's at bat. He went Oppo Taco, and then they said it went foul because it did. And then he pulled it on the next pitch too and hit it out. So
I love him. I love
he's unbelievable.
Gabby.
He's so good.
I wish I was able to cheer for him for his career instead of having to root against him, which I will now have to do.
Hey, look, I will if you're jumping on the Diamondbacks bandwagon and that can be your NL team, I will allow it right now. So
yeah, I mean, I don't really have an NL team. When I was growing up, the team that I played for, the minor league, whatever team, was called the Cardinals. That was the name. Like all the teams were like, there was a Cardinals team, there was a Braves team, whatever.
That's a good team to back, the Cardinals.
And that was the team I played on for like my whole minor league life. So I was a big Pujols fan. I wore number 5, and I thought I was Pujols playing first base for my Cardinals team. And I always kind of liked them. But
the tall guy over there, you were the tall guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty tall. I got some friends who are way taller than me. I'm kind of like middle of the pack for my friends.
I'm just really short. So
I got a big friend group. I got like a tall friend.
I look like Danny DeVito with my friend group. So
you got some tall friends?
Welsh is 6'4". My buddy Stalling.
Welsh is 6'4".
He's 6'4". Well, my buddy Stalling is 6'5".
Holy shit.
And those are my buddies that I go to the most baseball games with. So yeah, I definitely look like Danny DeVito compared to them.
I didn't
look like a mafia boss with them both walking behind me. So
I didn't realize Welsh was 6'4". I've been in person with him tons of times, several times, and I'd never realized he was that tall.
Tall dude.
That's crazy, man. Just thinking about this next round, and I think I'm probably
Spore's like 6'5", isn't he?
Spore is
6'4", 6'3"?
massive. Yeah, Spore's got to be 6'4". Built like a stop sign, as he'll tell you. Imanaga was in my queue.
There we go.
He was in my queue. I probably would have taken him. I wouldn't have taken him here, maybe, but I would have taken him at some point.
Drury's
actually been like low-key really good the last 2 years.
He has some good picks. Yeah. I like the risk on Marte. Getting JD, I think, is just a steal there. I think Suarez is a great pick. Taylor Ward on a bounce back. Gurriel is one of those high floor guys that we talked about. Pena's a little bit of a risk. Imanaga's a little bit of a risk, but Drury's safe too. Yeah, there's a lot of good safe picks here, I feel like.
Drury, the only thing is the lineup sucks around him, but I mean, he's been like 20 plus.
But that means he's going to be in the lineup every day. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's very true. It offsets. Who goes?
Finnegan.
Finnegan.
That's a good pick here,
pretty
too.
Good pick at this point. Yeah, he's low.
Look at all these smart guys. It's like the guys drafting in January are crazy, obsessive baseball fans.
Who would have thunk it? Yeah, you should have seen. I mean, you might have done one or two of them. I'm not sure, but these drafts that are happening like before the season even ends, before last year even ends. It's like,
I mean, we do like an end of year draft for ITL, but I'm not that crazy. That's too much.
I did one the day the season ended. I started a slow draft, and you feel like such a degenerate doing it. Like they're not even the paint's not even dry on 2023, and I'm already drafting a team for 2024. But it's kind of fun. You look back, and some picks burn you if you took an early Scherzer or whatever. But it's fun. You just do it for fun, right? It's
of course. Well, that so many people don't realize. You get to this point where you're drafting a lot of NFBC teams and you're playing for a lot of money. And some people will forget you play this for fun. That's why you came here. That's your first thought wasn't, I bet I can make a lot of money doing this. Yeah. Your first thought was, I love baseball. This is a way to make baseball more fun for me. And it is. And people forget that. And, sometimes it can be a little too competitive, but we are here. My favorite F word in fantasy is fun. So we want to make this fun. That's the whole purpose of it. Have a good time. Draft some fun teams. See, that's sneaky. I really like that pick. I like Cano.
Yeah, Cano could pan out. And I mean, even if he doesn't, there's something to be said for having one or two of those guys on your team who is just like a ratio kind of strikeout guy, even if he's not getting you a ton of saves.
Absolutely. Mason Miller, a decent pick here too. So we got team 2 here, and then 2 picks for Joe.
Team 2 is, thumbing through my brain and figuring out who I want.
They're sniping. They got the scope out. They're hunting. Who does Joe really want? Did you want Tyler O'Neill?
Honestly, I wasn't even aware he was on the board, but I probably would have taken him. But I don't even have an outfield spot left, so I couldn't have even. That's why I wasn't aware, because I've just
got a util spot, right?
I've tuned out outfield. Yeah, I guess I could have utiled him. I've kind of just tuned out outfield, but that's a nice pick. I like him a lot in
Good pick.
Boston.
Yeah, these are some nice safe picks here.
I think
JP Crawford, Tyler Stevenson, Eloy. Yeah, good picks here. Lux, you got him.
I got him.
Weird
Yeah,
ass picture of Lux.
I know. He looks weird, man.
Looks like a box.
Yeah.
Why is his face so square? He looks like a Minecraft character. These pictures are like, I never look at the pictures because I'm just too busy, clicking through and looking at all the stuff. So seeing these guys' pictures pop out is wigging me out here.
I think I'm gonna go with a pitcher. I think I need to go with the starter. I don't love the starters that are here, but if I don't love the starters that are going here, I'm not gonna love it as it goes forward. They're gonna get progressively shittier. So I think I am gonna take somebody that is fairly stable every year. It's generally throwing.
Nice safe man. We know what Joe likes.
Man. This is
Stroman.
Home too. I'm coming home to Marcus Stroman.
Hey, look, and he said he expressed that he wanted to go to the Yankees, and the Yankees were like, "Cool, bro. We're not going to offer you a contract. We don't have a spot for you." So, but I think the rumor today, at least as I was seeing it, was the Giants. And if he lands with the Giants, that is a unbelievable value. So, I really like that pick.
Didn't he take a shit on the Yankees a couple years ago?
I'm sure.
And yeah, I mean, he doesn't have many friends left, but he took a shit on them or Cashman or somebody, and I don't think they really want to get into the business of Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's damn consistent. Like if you look back every single year, he's usually under a 4 ERA. He's usually throwing like 150-ish innings. Like he's pretty consistent. I've watched him close up in Toronto. Yeah. He's not flashy. He doesn't strike out a lot of batters, but gets a lot of ground balls, gets the job done.
How you think of Stroman, I bet, is exactly what I think of Merle.
Yeah, I like Merle. I like him, Merle.
Merle
Kelly. I like him.
I just say it like a redneck. So
I'm shocked that he's been as good as he's been these last couple of years. I don't think anybody expected it to be this good.
Yeah.
But damn, like he's fun.
He went to my high school, not like a decade after me. Obviously, I'm 40,
really,
but yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, but he's from Scottsdale. So, and that's where I grew up in my teenage years and stuff.
The craziest high school connection story I heard was from Mike Kurland, and he went to the same high school as Chris Towers, and they were there at the same time as Nick Castellanos and JD Martinez.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool story.
All these baseball people in the same rooms at the same time, different levels of baseball, obviously players versus fantasy analysts, but pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Hey, look, baseball runs rampant, right?
Baseball, yeah.
That was in Florida?
That was in Florida somewhere. Yeah, all those Florida men.
Yeah. Florida man. Florida man fights gator. It's always my favorite.
I want to see a video of Kurland fighting a gator. Do you know Kurland well?
I know Kurland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not well, but we're buddies. Yeah. I know Kurland.
The last 2 years, he hasn't been at First Pitch Arizona, so I haven't actually met him in person. But we go back and forth on here. We bullshit all the time. We're actually in that draft. That Brian Bloomfield just tweeted out earlier he was doing this draft champions, and then I jumped into it, and Bubba jumped into it, Matt Williams jumped into it, Kurland, and it's just like everybody.
Wow.
Justin Mason, of course, is in there. Everybody just kind of
hard to find a draft that Mason isn't in. I'm kind of surprised he's not doing this one right here. So
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Mason does a ton of drafts.
I think he has cut back recently, but I mean, in the thick of it, Mason was everywhere with his drafts.
See, I'm kind of at the point right now where I'm in my ramping up phase. I've been in the industry. This is my third year now doing this stuff, doing podcasts and all that stuff. And I'm kind of now fully comfortable with the NFBC. And I did 4 leagues on there last year or 5. And this year it's going to be 10 or 11. And then it'll probably come next year, the year after, where I have to take a step back a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that. We all go through it. So,
and I don't necessarily want to, but I can just already see it's going to be too much setting lineups and everything. And
it becomes a second job. Yeah, and that's and especially with NFBC where all your moves have to be made on Sunday, and I mean you can do them before that, but You got to set your lineup for Monday. And, it's just, if you're going to have, for me, if I'm going to have more teams on NFBC, they are going to be best balls. They're going to be, I set it, draft it, and forget it. And then hopefully collect money at the end of the year. That's what you want. So
you don't do TGFBI anymore?
No, it's just too much. And I also don't want to be the guy that doesn't set his lineup for like the last 2 months of the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
It's just better to step away and not be a distraction or terrible or whatever,
No, I totally feel you.
Especially when, because Mason, back in the day, I don't know if he's still doing it, but it was like, if your league all finishes as the best, then there's, whatever. There's prizes involved, and then I'm dragging a league down. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah. Same thing with TARF, BARF, that type of stuff. I didn't do it last year just because I didn't want to be the guy not setting my lineup, And it's easy to say that you're not going to be that guy, but life happens and you forget something, and there you go.
Yeah, especially if it gets down to like August, September, and you're in 14th out of 15, and you have 42 roto points, and you're just
you're doing not football prep and football stuff too.
You're not as motivated. It happens. It's unfortunate, but especially if you play in, there's some people who play in like 100 friggin' leagues. Like there's going to be leagues that fall behind. I'm going to try and keep it under 10. I think under 10 is, at least in terms of like management in season. And
I got up to like 18 at one point, and I was like, I've got to ratchet this back. So I'm around 10 now. That's where I'll be. So,
how many football leagues you do?
I did. Those are easier. Those are those are easier because they're once a week to me. Just to set the lineup and everything. So, and you can do it any day. It doesn't have to be Monday.
True.
I did this year I did 10, but that has been, I've done 20 to 30 in a year before. So it's just too much. So try to ratchet back, keep the fun. Don't make it a second job. Keep the fun.
Yeah, exactly. When it stops becoming fun, or when you're so worried about it, that's when you probably got too much invested.
Getting gray hairs over it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it should be maybe a little bit of a nail biter. You're in your head-to-head week, and it comes down to the last game of the week or whatever. It should be maybe a little bit stressful, but you shouldn't be actually distressed over what's going on.
Yeah, betting side has got its hooks in me too, as well. So
betting is a slippery slope. Betting is slippery.
It's fun.
It's fun. No, it's fun. The way I bet usually is through DFS, and I try and bullshit myself and tell myself it's not gambling. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, I'm putting my money onto a website. At the end of the games, I'll either have more or less. That's gambling.
Come on, man. Everything's gambling. You leave your house, you're gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You could get hit by another car. That's a gamble.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all game. That's what I say to myself. So it's all gambling. I could slip in the shower, break my neck. Taking a shower is a gamble. It's all gambling.
You take your chances everywhere. Some of us, whether it's walking out of our houses, some of us in a fantasy baseball lobby.
Some of us on Underdog. Some of us on MGM. Some of us on the road.
Underdog fucking kills me that I can't play it in Toronto. It's not. This is the only place in Canada where it's not legal.
NFBC is not legal in Arizona. So
the only way I could sign up for NFBC originally was I had to message Derek Butcher, who's one of the guys who works behind the scenes there, and he had to sign me up manually because it was outlawed in Toronto for whatever reason.
I think he did the same thing for Welsh and I when we started in TGFBI.
We're talking about the biggest city in my country, Toronto. It's not some, little bullshit tiny. It's like 3 million, 4 million people live here. Let's get it together. I don't know.
Yeah, but the license for it might be unbelievably expensive. So
probably, I don't know if they realize how much money they could make off of people. I think, but they figured out legalized sports betting, and they legalized weed and everything else. Once they figure out how to make enough money off of it, they'll get around to it.
I know, dude. I left Arizona. They're legalizing weed and sports betting. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I leaving Arizona now?
Yeah, I can't imagine weed's legal in the heart of Texas.
No, it's not.
No. All things technically.
I think Texas will be 50 out of 50 on the states to legalize it. I think they will be dead last. So we'll see.
Yeah, I can see it. What have we missed here? Yusei Kikuchi goes off the board. I apologize to those of you who are listening just on the audio side. Sometimes we get a little bit distracted here.
You
But to
can post this though. You can take screenshots of this and post it, tweet it.
yeah. If you want to follow
You can
along, you
follow
guys can
along.
check out my Twitter. You guys can go to the YouTube page. Ideally, you guys are going everywhere and checking it out on every platform. If you're on the YouTube side, leaving a subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment, liking the video, all that does a lot of good for us. Dan Bespris is very happy when you do such things. So please go
And
ahead.
Dan needs some happiness. He's
Dan,
been very sick recently.
Dan
Let's
needs
make
some
Danny boy happy, please.
Dan has been going through it. Yeah, Dan has been sick. The whole family's been sick. He hasn't
I
been able to
know.
be out there as much as usual.
I was DMing with him yesterday, and he was describing it in detail to me. So I was like, man, that is brutal.
He's been going through it.
Oof.
He's been going through it. I do not. Well, I look forward to one day potentially having kids, but there's certain things that you just do not want to get yourself involved in.
Yeah, I'll pass on the kids. So
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm still 25. I have no idea.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
All about the fantasy baseball life at this point, and that's the way I like it. Keep
These are my kids. These teams.
These are
That's
my
right.
children. Stroman and Lux and Holiday and Chapman are my children.
And there's a reason why you give up your keeper league. They call it an orphan.
Yeah, exactly.
Taj Bradley, great pick. I like that. Parker Meadows, pretty good too. And Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah, Bradley, he's projected to do a lot better. Brian Bloomfield does the Bloom boards, and he posted one about like projected gainers in ERA. And Taj Bradley is just expected to like I shouldn't say gain. He's expected to shave like a run off his ERA this year. I'll take a chance in Tampa. That Devil Magic.
I like some
about.
consistency as well. Like keep him up there for God's
Yeah.
sake. Bouncing him around.
Yeah, I hear you absolutely. I mean, sending a guy down, who knows what the effect is mentally. He was doing pretty well when they sent him down too, and he came up and he was terrible after that. So
Yeah,
who knows what it actually did to him? But I think that he's a pretty solid pick, assuming that he's gonna be there, and I think he probably will.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he's not. So, and then see some other picks I love here. I love this run. Bradley, Meadows, Vaughn, Neto was in there. Leote just went. Edward Cabrera, I think, is decent at this point.
Yeah,
You're up. Two more.
I'm up. And I'm just thinking here about a couple of different things. So I need 3 pitchers. I need a catcher, and I need a corner infielder. Pitching is a little thin at this point. More than a little thin. It's very thin.
It's the opposite of me.
I think it's probably starting pitchers that I need to be going for. Okay. I wouldn't mind a closer either, but I mean, hell, at this point, I've kind of left it quite a bit. I mean, there's like a possibility maybe Jordan Hicks gets a chance somewhere, but I think I'm going to take care of my second catcher. And I think I'm going to go for somebody that I think will get a good number of plate appearances behind the dish. And I'm going to go for Connor Wong.
Okay. My
second pick is probably needing to be a pitcher at this point. And it's really risky, but I kind of want to go with Lance Lynn. I probably shouldn't go with Lance Lynn. It's making me really nervous, the thought of it. And it can honestly just ruin up your whole team.
A lot of strikeouts.
It's probably not going to be as bad as he was. Good defense behind him.
Last words.
I'm talking myself into it. Shit.
There he goes. And my cousin Lance Lynn. There he goes. They look exactly alike. I would just be the tiny version of Lance Lynn. I'm the 5'8" version of him.
Oh, it's a chance. It's definitely a chance that I took, though. I mean, he could, last year, 180 innings of a 5.7 ERA. Like that just fucks up your whole team. That is hard to come back from. But I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it can be that bad again.
I mean, look, slight adjustments too. Brandon Pfaadt moved to the left of the mound. I think isn't that how Gossman became way better? They just moved him on the mound, like
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys, it's arrogant of every pitching coach to say, I can fix this guy. Right. But you need that arrogance. That's what they're there for. And the best instruction is at the majors too. I know you want great instruction in the minor leagues, but also when you're paying these guys like the Dodgers are billions of dollars, the best instruction is going to be for them at the major leagues. That's just the way it is. So Harrison, I love that pick. Nice risky pick late here.
Yeah, Kyle Harrison can be really good. Sorry, I was kind of deep in thought there looking at the draft board here. Robert Stevenson, is he still unsigned? That's a really good pick by Maddie because Maddie's been tweeting a bunch of Robert Stevenson stuff too. So I probably should have seen this coming.
Should have put that one together, huh? We should have.
Yeah, see, there's a lot smarter people in the NFBC than me. There's probably people that sit around and write out the tendencies of the other people that are in their draft rooms, which is what you probably should be doing. But man, I definitely do not get that far in advance in terms of my prep.
Eugenio, I love that pick.
Eugenio's good.
That's a homer pick for me, but I like him.
Yeah, but sometimes when it comes down to the homers, you're actually seeing the guys every day. You might see something that other people don't. It can work both ways, I think, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he might be right behind. There's a chance that he's right behind Walker in the lineup,
Yeah.
So we'll see how Torrey works it out here. But if he's hitting higher in the lineup, because it's going to be Corbin and Cattell at the top. 3 was Gabby during the playoff run. It's a great spot for him. Walker was 4, and then they switched 5. It was Alec against righties, and Tommy Pham was in there. Lourdes was in there sometimes, but Suarez could take that spot if he gets hot early. So,
do you think we're gonna see Moreno continue to bat third?
I would say that's probably the plan going in, but Torrey moves it whenever he feels like. So, and he does. He will overstick. Like, I think he overstuck with Walker at 4 in the playoffs when he was, and I love Walker, but he was just not hitting in the playoffs. So I think he could have moved him down and maybe moved, Gurriel or Pham up or whoever. But he will stick once he likes a spot for a guy. And that third spot is just it's a little unsolved right now for the D-backs.
Yeah, I'd like to see it be Moreno. I think that he can be pretty close to the number 1 catcher in fantasy over the next few years. Like, I think he's going to get close to it.
Yeah.
If he's able to unlock the power, I mean, it'll be Rutschman on everybody's list probably, but I think Moreno is going to be really close.
Yeah, and he might be the best value. Even if he's not the number 1 catcher, it could be that Adley just costs so much. And then, you take a big step down to anybody else, and Gabby's the 2. So
Adley's expensive. Like, right?
He is.
He's like
in the 40s.
Top 50 pick already, pretty much.
I did take him in NFBC in my 150 draft.
I can understand it. Because you need 2 catchers. You're getting so many plate appearances from him.
And honestly, that is the only place. If I'm in a 1-catcher league, I am waiting. There's so many good catchers. There's no reason to spend early on. Like, in a 1-catcher league, Adley should not go to like the 60s. He should at least lose 20 spots. So
at least, yeah.
And it's not him. He's an amazing player. He's a great hitter, but it's just for the way the position is built, you just do not need to spend on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think a single catcher, maybe 1 or 2 catchers were, but it was pretty hard to find one that was a top 100 player last year. Like, I think William Contreras was, and maybe Adley, but they don't tend to return very high value a lot of the time. They don't play as many games. They're not hitting for a high batting average usually. I just don't like 2 catcher formats for that reason. You're having a roster guys that are kind of shitty, and I don't love it.
I like the Josh Bell, Brandon Lau.
That's a good
pairing. There.
That's a good pairing.
And I've always hated Josh Bell because I thought he was always going way too high. Like, I think he was going in the 9th or 10th round a couple years ago. And it's like, he's in Pittsburgh, doesn't have good splits. Like, I don't know. But he was great with Miami down the stretch. And he's still going late because most of his numbers were from Pittsburgh, or Cleveland, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I think Josh Bell's coming out of value this year, finally, because I've never really liked him. I think the Justin Turner pick was good, too. What do you think of Grissom?
I like Grissom at this price, too. I think he's going to play a lot. I think that he's going to be hitting for a high average. The power is not crazy, but I think he can be like 15 and 15 with like a 280 batting average. Good ballpark. I like him at this price. I think it's good.
What do you think about that Melendez pick?
MJ Melendez as an outfielder only, I don't love him. I don't think there's a lot there, really, personally. What about you?
Probably worth the price here And I like that 2 Royals went back to back there.
No catcher on him anymore, which sucks.
That definitely brings him way down. That's why he's available in the 20th round. So yeah. I mean, I there could be something there. He's decent here. I probably would have, I like Velasquez more. I like Lau more. I like Bell more. But it's interesting. We'll see. Yeah. That might be everyone overcorrecting on him because he was bad last year and he lost the catcher spot, and then he bounces back this year. That's just I think I'm more wary of that because I've got burned by that just as many times I've been burned by taking a guy too high.
Yeah.
So
you know what would be a sicko pick would be Jacob deGrom.
For your last month, maybe.
Is that what it's going to be? You think it'll be just a month?
I have no idea.
It's too risky, probably. It's just the thought of he only needs so much time to give you a full season's worth of numbers.
They just won the World Series without him, so there's no reason to rush him back.
You're right. Probably too risky. You're probably the voice of reason.
You're paying him a lot of money, but he is guaranteed to throw 0 innings this year. That is the thing. It's not like they have told us, oh yeah, he's going to be back by the All-Star break, and maybe we're going to baby him a little bit, but he'll be back. They have mums the word on DeGrom. So
that's true.
Pass.
Voice of reason, Scott Bogman.
That's maybe the first time anyone's called me the voice of reason. Yes, I appreciate it.
Well, I don't know which direction to go. There's a couple of
we're moving
options. Couple of interesting options. Buxton. Yeah, holy shit. I clicked away for a second. We got 4 picks. Buxton is interesting in this format, but in round 20, shit, I would have taken Polanco if he was there. And I would have taken Kepler.
Twins run.
I would have taken Kepler and Polanco. I would have double tapped them.
Oh, man. Snipe City in the 20th round of a 23-round draft.
That's why we do this. That's why we love it. Or so they say. I think I need 1 corner, and I need 1 utility and 2 pitchers.
All right, what do we got? We're up 2 picks.
For my first one, I think I'm looking at Jeff McNeil. I think Jeff McNeil is pretty stable. Another Met who's going to be at the top of that order. Good batting average. It's just kind of lacking in terms of homers, but I think I've got decent power already.
Okay.
I think I'll lock in McNeil with the first pick. I think playing time is going to be there too. And then I think as the corner infielder, I think I'm going to take Anthony Rizzo.
Rizzo's a good pick. Who else is there?
Rizzo's there. Jose Abreu is there.
I like Abreu too here.
Yeah, Abreu is interesting as well.
I think I'd rather have Rizzo, but I think those are both good picks.
They're both interesting. The concussion thing worries me with Rizzo, but when he was healthy last year, he was so good. Abreu was pretty shitty last year for the whole, but he's still in such a great lineup. Oh, man, it's kind of
tricky. It's like for Abreu, it was like, oh man, he's back after he had a good month, and then he was back to shit again. So
yeah,
I think I'd rather have Rizzo.
I think I am going to take Rizzo. That's my initial thought.
If Stanton bounces back at all, he's hitting behind. He's hitting behind Rizzo. That's going to be excellent for that lineup.
And now I've put myself in a spot where it has to be pitchers.
Look at that.
Last
Abreu, the next pick.
Abreu's the next pick. So Rubenstein's definitely listening. That's a confirmed. 100%. The guy's listening in. Appreciate
He's
you.
He's a spy.
He's a spy. Exactly. So I'm in a spot now where my last 2 picks have to be pitchers. I have no choice in the matter at this point. My options are Michael Wacha, Hunter Harvey, Jordan Hicks, Jameson Taillon, Luis Severino, Paul Skeens, Tyler Wells, John Gray, Dean Kramer, Logan Allen, Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez I'm just kind of looking for, at this point, just somebody that I think is going to be in the rotation all year, fairly healthy, not going to be blowing me up necessarily. Like Josiah Gray is on the board. I think Josiah Gray is a relatively stable pick here, but I think I'm maybe factoring in or maybe overvaluing innings over production.
You might be. You said Ranger in there. I think That would be a decent pick.
Ranger Suarez is there. Taiwan Walker is on the board. Nick
Walker's a little
Martinez,
too injury prone for me. Who was the
Kyle,
last one?
Kyle Hendricks, Kyle Gibson, Patrick
No.
Sandoval.
Mm.
Who else we got here? Brady Singer, Hyunjin Ryu, Alec Manoa. No, thank you.
Not that big a homer.
Oh, I would take him in like a draft champions or something. But,
yeah, if you got 50 rounds, sure.
But can't do it here. Can't do it here. I don't really love many of these pitchers. David Peterson, if everything came together, I think he'd be good. But Robbie Ray, he's going to be out most of the year. Oh, shit. Shouldn't have left both of the pitcher spots to the end. But, like I said at the top, 15-team league, you're going to be lacking in certain areas. And I think my pitching is probably that in this draft. That's probably the area where if I could do it again, certain things, like I probably would. It's not particularly strong. Webb as the SP1, Bueller, Hunter Brown, Stroman, Lynn. It's not terrible, but I don't love it.
Something that's going to make you queasy here. That's just for sure. Still Seth. That's a good pick. There's Harvey.
Hunter Harvey. I'm hoping that as few starters as possible go off the board here.
Well, people are, you're in a corner now. You have to take the spots on your roster. So
this is true. Yeah.
It's good for you for pitchers knowing everyone took so many pitchers early. And you have to take 2 at the end here. So, but this is always the longest part of the draft because people are looking, they're scrambling, they're trying to find that secret player that everyone else forgot about. That's way down there, and there isn't one. But you're just making sure you're leaving no stone unturned. So you're going through everything. You're double checking. That's exactly what Joe is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And see, you see, but see, like right here, Gavitt's been picking pretty quick. I feel like the whole time he's down to his last 5 seconds. So to take Ty France because there is no magic out there, right? Like you go through the whole thing, and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to take Ty France.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's just what it is. So
yeah. Zach Greinke, when Zach Greinke pops up into your mind as a potential, it's late in your
draft.
Man.
I'm
not doing it. I can't do it. There's just nothing there. I just think he's going to pitch a lot, but it's going to be terrible.
He's just going to pitch until his contract runs out, and he'll keep pitching. He doesn't care. He'll go play for the worst team. I bet you his favorite thing in the world would be to throw for the A's. No one's in that ballpark. Nobody cares, and he's still getting paid to play baseball, right? So
you're probably right.
He would love it.
I don't know how much he has left in him at this point. Maybe a year, maybe 2.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably nothing, but they keep paying him. So it's like, I'll throw it over the middle of the plate 100 times every 5 days for you. I don't care.
Yeah. There's really nothing, like you said, just kind of combing through here, making sure I didn't miss out on anything, but can be damn sure I didn't. There's
Brandon
nothing.
Donovan. There goes the crybaby.
Unless I want to go the route of like going for one of those high leverage relievers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like a minor league guy.
I could do that, or I could go for, I don't even want to say any names, but just like some random reliever, some guy that's going to be a setup guy that's going to be very strong. He might not be. There's a name I have in my mind actually that I should see if he's still here.
My boy Alec Thomas gets drafted. Tyler Black's a great pick.
Alec Thomas is a good pick. I like him. I think the upside for Alec Thomas, I might be crazy, is 2020. I think he could be a 2020 guy if things go right.
The way they run, I mean, he could be on the back end of 20 steals, no problem. You know what I mean? Like on a double steals or whatever. D-backs run. So, and they'll let him run for sure too. If he can improve that, he's not coming out of the lineup. He's a Gold Glove center fielder. So, I mean, he's been incredible. He's one of my favorite players.
Do you think the 20 home runs is kind of a crazy thought, or do you think that's possible?
No, I think that's possible. The old scouting trope is power is the last tool to develop, Yeah. And it's because you're working on so many other aspects of hitting. Just getting to the ball is number one, and then now lifting the ball is at the end. So Stanton, there he goes, 22nd round.
I debated Stanton at one point.
I mean, at some point you have to, I know he hit 200 or 198 or whatever. It was awful last year, but he still got 60 in there for power. probably 25 for how many games he plays every year. But, the thump is still there. He's still ripped.
I'm just debating what I've been debating the whole time, which is kind of like some upside versus some floor. I think at this point,
let's take upside.
Probably upside, yeah. But at the same time, there's not really a lot.
Man, you've taken Stroman and Lynn. So get yourself some upside.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
John Gray, like that pick.
John Gray is a nice, safe pick, I think. Man, Kershaw's interesting. I don't think he's going to pitch this year. He's still sitting there. Too risky for this format, but it's hard to see Clayton Kershaw not get drafted. It just the brain doesn't comprehend. Shane McClanahan too.
I like seeing Nick Saban retire.
Yeah, that was crazy. Everybody's retiring today. Well, I guess I don't know if Carroll's retiring or not.
And Carroll fought that. They're like, look, you can take a different role or we're going to fire you.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's at least what the rumor is right now, and I kind of tend to believe that. I don't think really Carroll wants to do anything else but be a coach. Can't go back to college, though. Too many sanctions. USC.
Is that a thing? He actually can't?
Oh, yeah. Well, he can, but you'd probably have to sit 2 or 3 years. So all that crap that happened at USC, he left. The same thing that's going to happen to Harbaugh this year. He's going to be like, oh, sanctions, I'll go to the NFL. It's fine.
Oh, I got one. I think I might have found
we found a secret guy.
I found a good one. I don't know.
We found a good secret guy. All right.
I don't know how much I believe in it, though. It's very much dependent on how the team will use this person, too.
Okay. Matt Wallner.
Someone's going to take this.
Sable. We're going. We're rolling. Jordan Lawler. Love that pick.
Oof. Yeah, I like it, too. I don't think Perdomo is going to be holding them off for too long.
No. I mean, you look at the Savant page and you just see Perdomo is at like the bottom 1% of everything important. Like XBA, XWOBA, ISO, This is not a very good hitter, which is why they bunted him so much.
All right.
Gold Glove fielder, though.
I think I have my final two.
All right. We got Austin Wells went 2 picks before you.
Wells. Now, I'm expecting at least one of my guys to get taken, which is why I got 3 that I'm happy with.
No,
okay. Wasn't one of my guys. That's good.
If you got 3, you're golden. Dylan Carlson. All right, you're up. Who are they? Let's go.
All right. The first one is risky, but it's Sean Manaea. I really like Sean Manaea.
I do like Sean Manaea too.
Get behind it. This one's also a little risky, and it might be considered a bit of a homer pick, but I'm going to take Eric Swanson. I think Eric Swanson is a solid asset for strikeouts, good ratios. He's going to give you a couple wins, couple saves, and if anything did happen to Romano, then he is going to be a guy that I can kind of count on to slide into the closer role. So that's it. That's the team.
That is the squad.
That's the squad. So recap.
So how do you feel? Stomach ache?
No, I don't think so. I think we feel pretty good about it, honestly. Acuna, Lindor, Guerrero, Alexis Diaz, Logan Webb, Pete Fairbanks, Yainer Diaz, Walker Buehler, Jordan Walker, and Hunter Brown. That's the first 10 rounds. Then Chas McCormick, James Outman, Brandon Nimmo, Matt Chapman, Jackson Holiday, Gavin Lux, Marcus Stroman, Connor Wong, Lance Lynn, and Jeff McNeil through round 20. And then the final 3 picks were Anthony Rizzo, Sean Manaea, and Eric Swanson. What do you think here, Bogman? You can hurt my feelings if you think it's right.
No, I like this team. I would say I don't think I would have taken Yainer that early, but that's catchers for me overall. It's not Yainer.
Yeah, you're right. Catchers. You're right.
I love the Buehler pick. I feel like I talked you into Walker, so obviously I like those. I knew you were going to take Hunter Brown and Chaz because you've been talking them up.
Yeah.
So not a surprise there. And then, like I said, you went safe, and then you took some risk. You took Jackson Holiday late. You took Gavin Lux coming off an injury. We don't know where Stroman is going to go. Yeah. You took taking Lance Lynn at all is a risk. So, but you're getting those innings. So yeah, I think you definitely had a plan and you executed it the way you wanted to coming in here. You were a little safer not taking so many injury risk or, younger guys for a team like this. Whereas, who was it that was the Ricky Bobby team we were talking about before?
Matty Wood.
Matty Wood. Yeah. With Tucker and Ellie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's got Ellie De La Cruz. He's got Tucker, Tyler Glasnow, Grayson. He's got O'Neal Cruz, Hunter Green, Anthony Volpe, Fott, Edward
Ricky
Julian.
Bobby, baby.
Yep.
Brandon Fott, yeah.
Robert Stevenson, I think, is a sneaky one because he might get some closer work wherever he ends up going. I don't know for sure. But, yeah, it's a fun format, the Gladiator. I did a couple of them last year. This is the only one I got into because they just sold out so quickly, and I didn't realize that they were going to limit the number of them. I thought they'd go throughout the whole draft season, but this is it. This is the single shot. This is hopefully the overall winner, which is $10,000, I think. We'll see if it is. If it is, Bogman, I'll send you a piece of that for being.
Oh yeah, I want 1%, please. Thank you.
If we get the overall, you'll get a piece of it. I really appreciate you coming on here, though, man. It's been a lot of fun. I know you had to switch them around, and probably taking you right through the dinner hour, probably. So again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. I do want you to be able to just tell everybody who might be unfamiliar if they've been living under a rock where they can find your work, though.
Thank you. Yeah, on Twitter, and I am the co-host with Chris Welsh on the In This League Fantasy Baseball Podcast, Fantasy Football Podcast. I also work over at Fantasy Pros and Campus to Canton for CFP Winning Edge. So yeah, Sports Grid. Yeah, you can catch me. My voice is all over the place if you like it, or if you are annoyed by it and want to avoid it. So yeah, you can hear me all the time talking baseball and football.
Bogman is one of the absolute best. We love him for coming on here. Haven't talked on a podcast with you, I think, since last preseason when we did the show with Govier. So it's fun to get you on here. Of course, we got to meet in November, which was great. I hope we're able to do that again. I hope we're able to get out to Arizona. I think I'll be in Arizona pretty much every year. So as long as you're able to get out there once or twice, we'll be able to hang out for sure.
I'll definitely be out there for opening day. Watch them hang an NL banner. So I like that.
That'll be fun, man. I think we're going to let you guys go here. Kept you for a very long time. If anybody was hanging out the whole time, you are the ones I do it for. Appreciate you guys the most. Now, make sure you guys are checking out YouTube, the podcast feed, everywhere you can find this, and share it out if you can. That would be awesome. At Joe Orrico 99 on Twitter. Sports Ethos is the website and where you can find this on YouTube. And we'll be back again tomorrow with another show. We'll be talking about some news around the league over the last week. But until then, everybody, take care. Have a great night. We will see you then.